Uh, Hello, everybody. Oh, what's going on? Hold on. No, that's fine. Wait, normally I have OBS in the corner of my eye so I know if I'm actually live or not. But then instead of OBS being in the corner, one of the many tabs that I have on my browser was up instead that was talking about, and Krellin knows why, the history of pants and women wearing pants and laws about women wearing pants. And that was up instead. And I was like, oh, I pressed the chat button on my stream deck so that you could see me. I was like, but now I don't know if you can actually see me because I didn't have it's a thing. Like, I just like to know, because what if, like, you don't, what I'm trying to tell you is that I have a routine that I have to set up. And if I don't set my routine up, I'm like, wait, is everything working? Hey, Dutch Teddy, how are you? How was the good night song? It was good, thank you. That's me in the corner, says Coldrake. That's me in the spotlight. Obi-Wan religion. Crunt's like, okay, but still, just because something was the law doesn't mean people did that thing. Yeah, except that, especially if you were working class, they would just arrest you. I mean, women in the West, after, like, once we started getting to the 19th century, they just didn't really wear pants because they would, and especially once people realized that lesbians existed, it was really like working class women they had trouble. And also, you can work in dresses. What they would do is they just, like, they'd pull up their dresses, and like all those women in the triangle shirt waist factory, they weren't wearing pants. They all died also in a big fire because of terrible working conditions. I'm just saying that, like, people got punished in ways, and like some places would be a little bit different than others, but I'm just saying was not good. I better not be detailed out. Because reasons. Personally, I'm okay, but my circumstance. Oh no, Dutch Teddy, I'm sorry. Is there anything that can be done to make your circumstances better? That's my question. I'm just saying that, like, you don't get the name game for me today, Bitchuber, because Prime has become super dumb. Wait, why? My primary set was supposed to be today, but it unlocks in 6 hours. I don't understand. That's ridiculous. What's going on there? What is going on there? Yeah. And imagine going swimming with full skirts, blouses, and leggings just because guys couldn't help. Oh my gosh. Do you ever seen those bathing costumes? Yeah. I imagine a lot of those. Oh, speaking of bathing costumes and sexism. Hey, Volpez, how are you? No, either it corrects itself or it's permanent, like, so. That's Teddy. I would like to think something might be able to be done. I hope. I'm gonna have this. It was given to me as a present by one of my fellow players in the Cthulhu game that Rissa runs that I'm in. I'm going to eat this here in front of your faces while we ponder some of these things. Yeah, I can't go super long because I have another RPG stream later tonight, which, by the way, I have another RPG stream later tonight, and I'm very excited about it. It is The Regiment, and it's over on Praxagora the Smophoria's channel. And it's a Napoleonic game set during the Peninsular War. Thank you, Dutch Teddy. You tried everything that you know of. Well, maybe other people might have ideas how to help whatever the situation is. Consult other people. I consult. Yeah, and now we're at the other extreme where practically nothing is covered.
Somebody's watching me.
Okay, hold on. I see what's going on here. Hold on. That's what's going on here. I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Thank you for that follow. It is much appreciated. G Child NL. Get child new. Get child new. Get child new. Get child new? I'm gonna just call you, or is it GIF or is it GIF? That's a hard question. Yes, Yes, Rissa, you did. And that's why I immediately fixed it. Because the minute I heard it, I was like, nope, wait. So here's the thing I want to say. I just want to say this one thing. Everybody's like, oh, today in the current day, everybody's so naked. Today it's so bad. Everybody's so sexual. Everybody's so naked. Everybody says that. But here's the thing. The 1970s, people were way more naked than they are now. I don't understand people keep saying that, like, we're so naked now. When people today are we're in a kind of a neo-Victorian age, my friends. There are people, especially men, are way more covered up now than they used to be. Women too, though. Like, there was just like a lot of nudity in the 70s and early 80s that is just not copacetic now. So like, it's just actually not true that the current like 2020 moment is a moment of like hyper nudity, because it's really not. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just noting that that we're kind of in a, I'm just noting that there was a lot more skin showing, especially for dudes. Dudes would like crop tops and like tiny shorts in the 1970s, and dudes just do not wear that sort of thing anymore. And, barring certain parades and whatnot. But generally speaking, no. And like, I'm just saying, you do not have regular, Coldrick, the 70s. I was a teen. Micro mini skirts, short shorts, micro tops. Today we're almost back to the middle, the low dip of the, I think that's actually true. I think that's true. Nudity is fun. Also, hi. Although Barentor, I will say nudity is less fun when it's really cold outside. Oh my, sorry. I just wanted to share that. Krellin says, now I'm thinking about that called on the Deb of Night Seek segment in VTM Bloodlines, talk about it in a nude world. And basketball net t-shirts. Oh my gosh, yeah. The 70s were 50 years ago, Tripper. Some of these people who think we're extra naked don't remember that Sean Connery outfit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Zardoz. I'm just saying the 70s were, first off, Rissa, you don't need to say things like the 70s were 50 years ago. That seems very inappropriate. I'm feeling very attacked right now. But like, people were super naked in the 70s compared to now. And I feel like we forget that the 80s board shorts got rid of. Vulpes is correct. Like, there was this big move, and like, and of course, in Europe, people are way less naked than the United States. The United States is has always been a little bit conservative, comparatively speaking. Dutch Teddy says, I have the best help I can have, but I have no idea what else we can do.
Name game.
If the brain is damaged, then you're stuck with it. It has limited self-repair, and it used that, so we know who was, again, and could reasonably get around and stuff. Alas, it did like crash my current job, mostly because I had to sacrifice those skills to get back to what I'm not now. Oh, Dutch Teddy, I'm really sorry. But, I would say that feels very out of your hands. Like, there's not a lot you can do, but I suppose you work at it. The body sometimes can surprise you. And, I would just say work on it and, do your best. And if it happens, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, yeah. The name game. Come on, everybody. Wait, pause. Also, Dutch Teddy, no matter where you're at, you are still valuable and welcomed and loved. I want to tell you that as well. Like, no matter where you're at or what's going on with that, you are valuable and you are loved. That's what I want to tell you. Because as Krellin says, while damaged parts of the brain rarely grow back, the brain does quickly remap functions to undamaged parts of the brain. It's true. And like, they're like, so also bodies are weird and weirdly resilient sometimes and other times not. And you never know, but no matter what, Coldrick says, recent brain researchers are finding out the brain is highly plastic and certain damages can be worked with to improve certain conditions. Dutch Shay says, I was too, since I was born at the end of the 70s. I do my best, but time is running out and I'm not noticing any recovery. I'm glad about that. I'm glad I'm welcome here. Dutch Shay, you are totally welcome. Hey, Nino, you are 100% welcome. And I just want you to know that no matter what, no matter what kind of recovery you get or don't get, that doesn't impact your value as a human being. So I just want you to know that. Just like sending you love across the internet. I got squirreled from the name game, but because like that's important. That's important to me. But Verim's like, we welcome a lot of people here, including people who wear short shorts. If you want to wear short shorts, you can wear short shorts. Okay, here's the thing. By the way, Scabinak, I'm going to name game you, but I have to say this thing or I'll forget it. It's important. I won't forget that. Ice Bunny says, we have the Freikörperkultur, and in Denmark, do they teach the foreigners that it's okay to have the boobs? Yeah, no. In thank you, Krellin. Who wears short shorts? No, seriously, people like Germany also has a Freikörperkultur, which is like the free body culture, and they've been having it for like a whole century and some more. Like there's just like a lot of nudity. Like I remember like going to there's like a river that like, okay, not like a lake somewhere or like a beach somewhere. I mean a river that goes right through the city, and like sometimes like you'd walk, you'd walk into work and you like walk across a bridge to go to the river, and sometimes you're like, oh, naked people right there on the river. That's how it is. Like that's just and the United States is not that way. Will ever, perhaps this is a question, will I ever finish this? Maybe, but it's here, it's waiting for me. It is a muffin. But here's the thing I wanted to say though. This is an interesting story, and it's related to this, and that's what I want to tell you, and then I'm going to finish the name game. There was an interview with Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, and it was an interview that happened not too long ago. So it's not an old interview; it's a modern interview. And she was being interviewed by this woman, who is like a modern person today, like a modern. I think it was sort of like a kind of like maybe like a sort of a feminist sort of interview. Like, you're this like cool badass woman from the past, and I'm like a modern young feminist, and I want to interview you because like you're so cool and badass and whatnot. It was one of those kind of things, which is like pretty awesome. Except that the modern cool feminist enlightened badass woman, right? Who was she was a young person who was not in the 70s. Asked her this question, and she said, so you did all these amazing things as Wonder Woman, but how did it feel to have to wear such an objectifying and revealing and like oppressive outfit as Wonder Woman? Like, you were having to wear this like these really like super oppressive things, and like how did that make you feel wearing like such skimpy clothing? And Linda Carter responded, and she said, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you see what I was wearing? I was wearing granny panties. Like, what I was wearing was so covering. She's like, have you seen bathing suits from the 1970s? And Linda Carter was a former Miss, I don't know if she actually won Miss America, but she was certainly a Miss America contestant. She might have won for all I know. I can't remember. But the point is, she's like, I don't like that. She's like, you are seeing the outfit that I wore in Wonder Woman as super revealing and skimpy. And it wasn't. Like, it was really quite conservative, like as an outfit. And I just remember that is a moment. And actually, I really need to find that interview because I'm going to need it in my book. I'm going to need that interview in my book. Somebody remind me in Discord that I need to find that interview. It was from a couple of years ago, and I do need to find it because I need it in my book because it illustrates something that I'm trying to talk about in my book. Even though my book is not theoretically about this particular thing, it really is. The book that I'm working on is about transgender voices across the century and how like gender and race change right over time. So it's basically about transgender musicians, and starting theoretically 1950s, although I might do the 1930s, and I'm moving to the current day, and it's like this whole big, massive, huge book about transgender musicians. But what I'm really wanting to talk about is how people often do not make arguments historically in a historically grounded way. So they make critiques or have ideas about identity that are not. I'm trying to basically increase empathy. That's what like the secret agenda of the book is. And this is like such a great example because the person who was interviewing her only saw themselves from their current moment and could only see things from their current moment. And as an interviewer, that's really, you should maybe try to figure out the context was. And right, this idea that for this younger person, this person who was not in the 70s, I don't know how young she was, but she was not from the 70s. She may not have been that young at all anymore because it's 2020. And as Rissa pointed out in a way that was clearly attacking me, the 70s were 50 years ago. But the point was that she saw Linda Carter and she's like, oh my God, how degrading that outfit is, how terrible that outfit is. But it wasn't, right? Like, not in the 1970s. For Linda Carter, she felt that it was, quite modest, and that she didn't feel degraded, and she felt actually like kind of like she felt awesome that she got to be in an outfit that was I mean, also, although she did call them granny panties, which kind of implies that she thought they were not as cool as they could have been, that maybe she would have liked them a little bit different, maybe a little bit less granny panty-like. But the point is that that too often we make judgments without understanding context. And we do not understand, and this is the thing I've been thinking about a lot, that, hey, PH, that we, Hawkeye's like, context is everything when you look at the past, and that is so true. The 80s was the ugly, Ice Bunny, that is not true. The 80s were awesome. How could you say that the 80s was ugly fashion? The 80s had shoulder pads. It had huge hair that was like exciting in all directions. It had Ray-Bans. It had all of the things. Oh, do you want to see a spoiler for something? Do you want to see a spoiler for something? Do you want to see it? You want to see it? Speaking of the 80s. By the way, Linda Carter is Mexican American. No, that's the danger of justice. Okay, that's fair. Oh yeah, mullets are always going to come back though. That is true. That is true. Coldrake now speaks like Yoda. That she says, okay, I keep hoping, but I know we'll never get back to the thing I was doing before. That is okay. On the other hand, objectifying women is fraught with danger, better not do it. That is fair. Coldrake notes, Wonder Woman's super costume covered more than the clothing of the times. She was Miss World USA. Thank you, Krellin. Miss World USA. I knew that she was like, she'd like won a pageant, but I was like, which one was it? Yes. Scabby Neck says, by the way, I'm singing your song. Modern Person Today sounds like the title of a magazine for aliens interested in human culture. I'm going back because I want to not miss things. I know I'm welcome here, and also Hyper that is today, and also at Hyper that is okay. I personally don't wear short shorts due to my own body modesty. But here's the thing, Dutch Teddy. This is the thing. Sorry. What is considered body modesty is actually a variable thing. And I'm not saying that your boundaries are not valid. They're totally valid because you're boundaries. But what I'm saying is that there were time periods where if you showed somebody your ankles, you would feel so immodest. You would think, oh my gosh, I'm showing so much of my body. This is so outrageous. I feel so shamed that people could see my ankles. And people just generally don't feel that way in a lot of parts of the world. Some parts they still do, but a lot of parts they don't. So the idea of what, like, your feeling of modesty is socially constructed, right? And of course, you have variance within that social construct. But, I mean, and I think that's just the interesting thing. I just think that's interesting. Heck, says Coldrake, back in the 70s when I hit West Germany, Frankfurt, I got to see my first nude top billboards. Oh yeah, when I first saw naked people on advertising in Europe, I was like, what is happening? Oh, because I'm American, right? I got through it. I got over it. But like, I'm an American, so I saw nude people on advertising in it, and I was like, because you grow up in a culture, and that culture impacts you. I'll tell you this, side note, I never thought that I was like an American, never thought it, because I'm like a San Francisco liberal, so different from the rest of my country, like whatever, I'm so not American, like I'm not American, I'm cool, because that mindset back in the day when you're a teen. And I go to Europe and I was like, oh yeah, no, actually, I am an American. Like I thought I was not American, but it turns out that I am because I am blushing over nude billboards. And I was like, and like, it was very eye-opening for me to go abroad to Korea and also Germany and realize how much living in American society had impacted me when I never really thought it did because I was just too cool for that. But oh no, it really did. Just say it. Yes, I'm gonna say all that. Linda Carter also went on to do country western singer. There's another music college. Yes, she did, and she's actually a really good singer. She's a really good singer. What, Krellin just said that shoulder pads were bad? I clearly missed that comment from Krellin that shoulder pads were bad. I don't even know what to say about that. How could you? Okay, shoulder pads, come on, like shoulder pads. I can't believe that we're having shoulder pad disparagement right now when shoulder pads were amazing. Like massively gigantic shoulder pads and super tall hair. And then like, I mean, Alexis from Dynasty, shoulder pads, stare in your face, hair. Come on. Who doesn't like, I'm just saying, we could like, Now, maybe the shoulder pads in your t-shirts were a bit much. Maybe, maybe we don't necessarily need shoulder pads in t-shirts, which was a thing in the 80s. I don't know why that was, because I feel like maybe the t-shirt you don't need the shoulder pad in, but I'm just saying. We had 3 color school bags. Ankles are just like wrists. They're just too much. It is for each themselves to do what they want. That is correct. To be fair, people should keep their ankles to themselves. Hussies. Scabby neck. Koldrick, I am not a fan of mullets, but Richard Dean Anderson as MacGyver, he wore well. And the thing is, I think you could do mullets well or not well. Wizard Style says, I remember mullets came back when I was a kid in the late 90s. My generation learned our mullet lesson then, and it's disheartening to see the kids today apparently need to repeat our mistakes. Look, people are gonna mullet. People are gonna mullet. There are naked people on board still for underwear. It's true. SR says, SR Clary says, I keep thinking about Ciara, the singer. Anyway, America, where you can take your AK to the shops, but God forbid you show your belly button. Belly buttons are like very dangerous. I mean, they're belly buttons. What are you going to do? I hadn't thought about that. Whereas I would have to avoid those billboards like the plague due to my recovery. Yeah. Not in the meeting. Well, Naked in the Media is promoting eating disorders. But you know what, though? You could promote eating disorders while still wearing clothing. I know, like, Twiggy helped promote, there's there's stuff there, but she was often very clothed. Americans chant USA all the time. That is what I know about the culture. We have other things, PH, besides chanting USA. We have NASCAR, other stuff. Shoulder pads are everything right with the 80s. Thank you, Scabby Neck. Come on. Oh no, I'm gonna stack them. My name game, I'm gonna stack them. It's gonna be great. SR Clark says, I love a good shoulder pad with a power. Yes, right? An 1980s power suit with shoulder pads. Like, so good. So good. And like dramatic hair. I'm just saying. Hating on shoulder pads, even Dragon Ball. Say Colin is right, and ugly plastic earrings. If only, Scabby Neck, if only they'd incorporated shoulder pads with jazzercise. Maybe. Royalty showed ankles to make sure everyone could be amazed of their gout. Hey, that gout's sexy. Shoulder pads are only right if they're WoW pauldron size. Okay, World of Warcraft has the most insane shoulder pads ever. Rissa says, if someone had to cut the t-shirt shoulder pads out of every top she bought, the trend can stay dead. We just don't need shoulder pads and t-shirts. That's all I'm saying. That was the leg warmers shoulder pad for the, oh yeah, leg warmers. It's gonna be, why not both leg warmers and shoulder pads? Leg warmers, jazzercise videos, spandex exercise bodysuits. Oh my gosh. Belly buttons aren't even buttons, says PH. They do nothing. It's fair. More songs, less shoulder pads. We have culture, but they're working on the antibiotic for it. SR Clark says, let's not forget Kate Moss and Heroin Chic. Oh yeah. Nothing tastes as good as thin feels. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, you don't, yeah. And also you could be naked and not promote ED. Like, it depends on what the naked body looks like. Like, what are we doing with our bodies? Looking down at other countries, we have that in our own mind. Now, if they only had shoulder pads with ripped sweatshirts. Oh, okay, look. Shoulder pads with ripped sweatshirts. And those jeans people would wear in the 80s? Probably late 80s, where like they were so ripped, because not the early 80s, the early 80s was different, but late 80s, where they were so ripped, there was like massive, gigantic holes in the jeans where you could see like not just at somebody's knee, but like their entire knee region. And you're like, why? And I'm paying for that? But hey, it's fine. I'm sorry, if you have shoulder pads are, no. See, Rissa, that's why you have to go gigantic with your shoulder pads. Then it doesn't matter how big your shoulders are. You want to get full on zoot suit. So your shoulder pads are like out, like you can't even walk through a door. Your shoulder pads are so big. You want to get World of Warcraft shoulder pads in your power suit. And it'll make your actual shoulders look really small because the shoulder pads will be so gigantic, no one will believe that you actually have your own shoulders. Like, it's like genius. That's all. Dutch Teddy said, dramatic hair is fun, but alas, I've lost most of mine, so that is okay. I feel like you're calling me out right now, Dutch Teddy. That's all. Superheroes are American in origin, too. That's true. Thank you, Kitchen Brett. That is true. Hi. Superheroes? Yes. Wow, shoulder pads were stolen from Warhammer. That's true, actually, they were. We could bring back 80s goth. I'd be okay with that. Yes, Virum. Although, where I was at, we called it alternative and not goth. We didn't call it goth until grunge happened. And then grunge became alternative, and then what we listened to had to be called something else, and I was so sad. So sad. And he was like, you want that upside down triangle shape, like huge, like an insane upside down triangle, like just like the biggest. You're saying your corrosion here? Yes. They become flotation devices. Yeah, like the buckshot jeans, because they literally use shotguns with double. Yeah, right. I don't know what that was about, but it is, right? What about padding of rear side? Like bustles. Why don't we bring back bustles? We could bring back, everybody could be wearing bustles or panniers and just not be able to walk through doors. I'm just saying there's all sorts of stuff we could do, but we're not doing it. The hair care brand Head and Shoulders was made by someone with hairy shoulders. It only makes sense. I think that's fair. Not a call out. You have less hair than me, but it's okay. I expect to get there soonish given the hair of my father. Yeah. Riss is like, as someone with huge shoulders, I meant what I said. I take it. The Leningrad Cowboys. I will say, I mean, I shave, right? So like I shaved just recently. Look, I want to give you a spoiler. I'm going to sing the name game, but I want to sing it with a spoiler for you that I'm going to be a little bit vague about. I have to get it. It's over there. I just got it in the mail, but I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, because I feel like you're going to appreciate this spoiler. I feel like you're going to appreciate it. And it's more like a teaser than a spoiler. It's a teaser. I've got a teaser for you. There's a big delay. Everybody. All right, look. No, Skyback, I did not forget the name game, but I want to sing the name game with the teaser. I have a teaser. I got it in the mail yesterday, and I'm very excited. I am going to be a guest on a one-shot. No, it's not a one-shot. The thing itself is not a one-shot. The thing itself is an ongoing campaign. But it's a campaign that's got a set cast and then like rotating guests every week. And I'm going to be one of those guests in this show. I don't think I should say what the show is, because I don't think it's been announced, and I don't know what their policy is on teasers and spoilers. But I will say this. I'm going to guest in a show, and for that show, I had to buy this thing. Prax is like, I know what you're teasing. You do know what I'm teasing. Prax knows. And for my guest spot, I needed to buy these things. And this is only part of the outfit I'm going to be wearing, which is clearly relevant to our conversation. And I'm going to be wearing this thing while I sing the name game for those lovely people, Falcon of Venom and Scabinak, who have resubbed. And you can just ponder what this means. What does it mean that I'll be wearing this? Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. On M will appear. And then I say bo at a B. Then I say the name, then banana, fanner, info. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time. And there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. Like Bob, drop the B's, Bo, or Fred, drop the F's, for red, or Mary, drop the M's, mo, airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Scabinak, Bo, babinak, banana, fanna, fo, fabinak, fee, fi, mo, mabinak. Scabinak, Falcon of Venom, Bo, Falcon of Venom, banana, fan, fo, alcon of Venom, fee, fi, mo, malcon of Venom. Falcon of Venom, Kitchen Bratlin, Bo, bitchin' Bratlin, banana, fan, fo, fitchin' Bratlin, fee, fi, mo, mitchin' Bratlin. Kitchen Bratlin. And And speaking of the 80s
game.
and also the 80s, I just got to say bitchin', which is like super 80s, by the way. Not that I'm just saying that's all I'm saying. Come on, everybody. I say now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. I see you, PH, at first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. Like Bob, Bob drop the B's, Bo, or Fred, Fred drop the F's, fo, red, or Mary, Mary drop the M's, mo, airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Banana, fana, fo. Banana, fana, fo, banana, fana, fo, bo, banana, fana, fo, fee, fi, mo. No, wait. Oh, no, okay, wait. Is there any name that I can't rhyme? Banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, fee fi. Wait, first you say Tony, then you say Tony with a B, Boney, then banana fanafo, and then you say it with an F, phony, and then you say fee fi and a mo. Fee, fi, and mo. They say anything with the M this time, Moni, and there isn't any name that you can't rhyme. Banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, fee, fi, mo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo. PH, I see you out there. But yeah, no. And then also Adonis Nimbus, Bobadonis Nimbus, Banana Fanafo, Adonis Nimbus, Fee Fi Momadonis Nimbus, Adonis Nimbus. Ooh, level hype train. Woo! Wait. I didn't forget. Wait, I got this, what, PH, the gift to Banana Fanafo. Banana Fanafo. Also to Adonis Nimbus. And I think I got them, right? Right? Yes. I just feel like I was there, right? While we were singing, oh, you just got back from lurking to handle some errands. I need a trooper to sing to celebrate the financial victory. Okay, I'm here for this. I'm here. Good morning, Tad Kill. How are you? So no, wait. Banana Fanafo. This is really good. I have to like get it, right? Oh, PH, you know, I actually really love, I love the like weird challenges of the like, okay, because like Banana Fanafo is a good one, right? You got to say Bo, then Tony with a B, then Banana Fanafo, and then, right? So it's the thing is, it's what I learned the last time. It's the rhythm of it. You've got to say Banana Fanafo. So it's like, you know, Banana Fanafo, Bo, Banana Fanafo, fee, fi. Banana Fanafo, Bo, Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, fee, fi, mo, Banana Fanafo. Because as long as you can like switch the syllabus on the emphasis on the syllable, then it'll be okay, right? Because you want to say Banana Fanafo, but if you do that, then that's how you, like when you sing the song, you say Banana Fanafo, right? That's the Banana Fanafo, right? So you like Tony, Bonboni, Banana Fanafo, phony. So if you say Banana Fanafo, if the word's Banana Fanafo and you sing it with the same rhythm as the part where you say Banana Fanafo, then you're gonna get yourself all messed up. So you can't sing it that way. So I couldn't sing Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, Banana Fanafo, Fee Fi Mo, Banana Fanafo, because that's like rhythmically that would throw you off. So you have to like switch the rhythms, they become different words, right? Like if you can switch the syllabic emphasis, they become different words, and then you can do it. So if you're like, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, fee fi mo banana fanafo, banana fanafo, right? So as long as you have to, like, in my, at least for me, I don't know about you all, but in my mind, I just have to make sure that the word banana fanafo is a different word than when I say banana fanafo. And as long as banana fanafo is a different word than banana fanafo, then I can do it. But I have to just make sure that in my mind, I use rhythm and syllabic inferences to make sure that those are separate words in my mind. Even though they're the exact same syllables, as long as I can, like, shift them into being different words, then I can sing it. But if they're the same word, then when I get to banana fanafo, banana fanafo, that gets really difficult, because then I'm like, didn't I just already say it? Because I'm like, okay, banana fanafo, banana fanafo, banana fanafo. And there I'm supposed to say banana fanafo, banana fanafo. But I just said it, so then I might thought didn't I just do it right then? So you have to just, like, you just have to have the different rhythm of it. And then when you do, it all works out. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So, and also, do you not love these sunglasses? That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm just trying to tell you that. I did my shopping this morning. I was glad to do it with my parents. I'm lucky to sell both. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyone who missed Colas last night, no spoilers, but it was chock full of feels. It was. Things to say about that. We get bracelets and Kempfen Bekemsele boot merch. Halfway through, Among Us. I hope that was really fun, PH. I've never played Among Us. Atomic says, so the victory, I now have one half of my first year of community college saved up. Oh, that's amazing. For after COVID, if prices don't get jacked higher and it doesn't even count any benefits I might qualify for. So I'm at 1/6 of my goal that I want to hit before I finish my first year. Next year, 4 years from now, who knows? That's amazing. That's amazing, Atomica. And you know, I'm going to sing We're in the Money right now for your financial victory. No. I'm very excited about the bit song. You just have to get there. Homonyms without being. Yes, right? Thank you, Adonis Nimbus. You have to make them homonyms. You have to do that. For me, I don't know about you all. Maybe you can do it a different way, but for me, as long as I can conceptualize it that way, then I think I'm pretty decent. Well, let's do. Too bad no one here has this username. Oh, that would be decent. Okay, hold on. The thing is, what I would have to do is I know that the Welsh town name, but I don't know how to pronounce it because there's stuff going on. So what I'd have to do, and not that I'm doing this right now, I would just have to put it into, you know, the search engine, the DuckDuckGo, and I'd have to type in, which I'm not doing, but theoretically, I would have to do something like how to pronounce that place. Which I'm not doing right now, but if I were, then I would just, like, go to YouTube and I would come to a website that discusses it about how to pronounce that town theoretically, and then I would listen.
Llanfair y pwll gwyngyll go ger y chwyrn drobo llan Cecilia go go goch.
Llanfair y pwll gwyngyll go ger y chwyrn drobo llan Cecilia go go goch. Llanfair y pwll gwyngyll go ger y chwyrn drobo llan Cecilia go go goch.
So the thing is, before I can name game that village name, I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce it unnamed game first. So I'd have to practice that. I'd have to listen to that video many times to figure out how to pronounce that properly, just as a word, before I could name game it. But you know, I will note that is a thing that maybe I should learn how to do that at some point in time. That is perhaps a thing that I need to work out how to do. That's all. Okay, wait. By the way, bits. I'm trying to get caught up. I seriously hope this character plays the saxophone. Hey, Money, it's a crime short fairly. Oh, Pink Floyd. Money. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a crime. Oh, hey, Pink Floyd. Spoiled me. Who killed Tango? Who didn't kill Tango? Who didn't kill Tango? I'm legit planning on brute strengthening my way through the finances. I like to challenge myself as an imposter to win without lying. Oh, that's really interesting. You know, PH, I love making myself having these weird challenges. I do it all the time. I do weird challenges sometimes, especially in RPGs. Google Translate? No, that's the name of it. Nope. The pink glasses, says Ice Bunny, reminds me of our breast cancer awareness in October. Oh yeah, pink has become very big in the last... But look, I'm going full on 80s for this thing. Well, I mean, I can't go full on 80s. You know what I mean. There was Weather Reader who pronounced it well with their watch. Ooh, yeah, I need to just, you know, which I'm not doing. Why don't I believe you, Trooper? I don't know. I actually have a college question for Trooper. Oh, I'm ready. And God knows I may have asked it before. I'm ready for it. Why am I not surprised that Trooper used DuckDuckGo for his browser? Well, you know, like, look, I have reasons why I'm using DuckDuckGo and not Google. Sometimes I'll use Google, but here's the thing. I just don't feel like Google needs to have every part of my life. I just feel like we don't have that kind of relationship. And like Google wants to be all up in my business all the time. They're like, hey, do you want to use me for your email? I was like, no, I don't want to use you for my email. But how about if you also use me for everything? And I was like, no, I am not going to use, I have to use you for some things because you now own YouTube, and I resisted that one for a very, very long time, and I was like, oh, because they were like, you have to update your YouTube so you can like be on board with the Google, and I was like, I will not update, and I did not for years, and then finally they made me, but I was like, whatever. Anyway, the point is, like, Google and I are not in exclusive relationship, no matter what Google thinks. I do not consent to that. That's all I'm saying. Because being spoiled spares the trauma surprises me. Yeah, no tangos were killed in that episode. Did the slurry click, is the slurry click part of the language? I think it is, Coldrick, yes. I'm planning on going to CC, but trying to spread 2 years of course over 3 years, and do the last years over the 3 more years at a higher university. Oh, that's a very reasonable, Atomic. I think it's a good idea. I'm going to send you the weather guy on Twitter. Oh, please do, Adonis. Thank you. Also, you know, you can join our Discord and you can share there as well. Also, I'm going to sing this. Of all the feels, the death of Tango will wait till another episode. Yes. The Triss is asking leading questions, then the others will trip themselves up. Now learn how to say that town name in Pig Latin. Okay, saying it in Pig Latin would not be difficult. Just saying it, because once you can say it, then the Pig Latin part's easy. You just have to be able to say it first. The village apparently translates roughly as St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near the Rapid Whirlpool, and the Church of St. Tysilio near the Red Cave. Ooh, that's very evocative. Dear Trooper, did you know you're a cool, worthwhile human being? Hey, Sal. Thank you. I had a thought, by the way, that I probably want to talk to you about. It's about human beings. I use DuckDuckGo, works well. But who still uses Ask Jeeves? Wait, actually, is Ask Jeeves still a thing? Can one still use Ask Jeeves? Probably not, right? I mean, not that I'm not right now. Ask Jeeves. That's not what I'm doing right now. I'm just Ask Jeeves. Oh, yeah, apparently it is still a thing. Hey, Ask Jeeves, but without the Jeeves part, is still a search engine. Huh. Who'd have thunk that Ask Jeeves was still alive and kicking? Apparently, I never really used it, to be honest. So I'm just saying. The thing by the place, which is about half of all the names of the world. That's actually true. Prax says, also just need to figure out whether the song is public domain. Oh, yeah, Prax. If you're thinking of the song that I'm thinking about, it's tricky because I think that the original would have been the original folk tune would be public domain, but I'm not certain about the arrangement for Sharp stuff because that was sort of really rewritten, and so I could imagine that the rewritten part is maybe not public domain, but the original is. So you'd have to sort of figure out that. I'm thinking maybe it's like my thought about that one. Tomica says, I found a fun way to play Among Us. I posed as the imposter openly every round, whether or not I was. I murdered almost the entire crew the round I finally was the imposter. Gervais says, in line games like that, I tend to not be great at being consistent between being the faker or not. So I just started admitting straight up the bat to being the faker, no matter if I'm or not. People quickly lost any clue what to do with my statements when I started doing that. Oh, Falcon, it is here. Oh no, I'm here. I'm almost caught up, right? No, I thought I'd been spoiled, but you were not spoiled about Tango. Did the episode end up being called The Tango Web We Weave? No, PH. The episode's title is The King Stands Alone. It's a good one. That was by Rissa. It's a good one. Wasn't Tango killed by Cash? Tango's killed by the Cha-Cha. We all know this. That's actually... I actually don't think that's true. Sal, I think Tango was killed by the rumba because the tango was really popular in the 1920s, and the big Latin dance that took over the tango was then the rumba in the 30s. So I would say the tango was killed by the rumba, not the cha-cha, unless you mean Cha-Cha from Greece, the best dancer at St. Bernadette's, in which case I totally believe that woman totally killed Tango, because she was like, I don't know if you watch Greece, like Greece was all that and I loved it and all that, but like Cha-Cha was amazing. I was like, who is Cha-Cha? I love her. When Cha-Cha came on the screen in Greece, I mean, like, let's be fair, I really love like Rizzo, but like Cha-Cha was like, okay, she seems super cool and badass and really not a high school student. But then which of those people in that movie did not look 35 and divorced? Because I just feel like a lot of people in that movie were not 18 or anywhere near 18 in any kind of way. But you know what? Whatever. It's fine. Prax says, for the thing tonight, yeah, probably. So we need to use the original. Yeah, because I think they might have changed the melody. I'd have to think about it. Kuldrick says, Ask Jeeves lasted until roughly 2005 when it was rebranded as Ask.com. The company attempted to invade Yahoo Answers territory by focusing on real person Q&A site, but Ask.com ended its foray into the search engineering in 2010. Oh, interesting. Oh. Carl says, I've always wanted to see a barn would have been a better title for episode 4, though. I think you're right, but you were not there to like suggest it. If you had been there to suggest it, I totally would have put it on there. I love that title, Krellin. I think that's the best title. I love it. I think I've always wanted to see a barn is such a cool title, and I would have done it. I would have done it. I just want you to know I would have done it. I would have picked that one because I liked it a lot. Oh, it did backfire me. Once I was teasing about heading towards the vent when one of my friends was in a room. She cornered me. My brain went, well, I messed up, and she killed me because she was the imposter. Sal used inaccurate music reference. It's super effective. Trooper against used tangent about Greece. Valkyrie needs food now. We lost Cha-Cha in 2012? 2011? No way. Oh no, because I thought she was so awesome. And she was a really good dancer. Well, there's a character named Cha-Cha in Umbrella Academy played by Mary J. Blige, and she's amazing. Yes. Can we at least agree that video killed the radio star? Sarge Bros watching the rest of my group bet at a criminal auction that night. That's fair. I don't blame you. I'm just saying that I love your title. I thought it was really good. Apparently Cha-Cha was very sick during the race scene in Greece. Really? What a trooper, huh? Okay. I want to thank Atomica, Rissa, Lola Kitsune 92, and Adonis Nimbus for the bits. I'm very excited. This is to celebrate a lot of things. In the celebration and in thanks for those bits, now, not later, and not, I'm just doing this so I can't see chat, and not being distracted by chat, I'm going to sing We're in the Money, as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I am going to sing it in Pig Latin. And so, you all know the song, right? You all know the song? I'm going to sing twice. I'm going to sing it not in Pig Latin, in English, and then I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin, because I feel like sometimes some of you may not know the original lyrics, and so then it might be harder for you to understand the Pig Latin. So I figured if I just sing the original lyrics first, then you'll know it. So I'm going to do that first because I feel like I haven't done that in a while. Like, it's October, it's a new month. So, new month. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. We're in the money, the skies are sunny. Old man depression, you're through, you've done us wrong. No, we never read headlines about bread lines today. And when we see the landlord, we can look that guy right in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Right, so that's the original. as written by whoever the songwriters were. And then the badass, super awesome Ginger Rogers, who was cast in this film role, and she was supposed to sing this song, and she was on the set goofing around between takes. And what she did, like, she was in vaudeville before she was in movies, and one of the things she did in vaudeville is that she would sing popular songs in Pig Latin. That was like her thing. And so she was like on the set joking around, and she started singing it in Pig Latin in the way that she does. And like the director and people were like, waha, waha, what? They're like, do that. Wait, we're gonna add that into the movie. So her Pig Latin version got added in because she's amazing. And then she goes, Earway and hey, the anime. Earway and hey, the anime. Evayat Gilead, way wigs to utit Gilead way. Earway and hey, the anime. Ide I skays are ani say. Oh man, the ADS and pray, are you was stay on way on rail. Ewa ever eat red lands lay, ev way at Brian's lay, ute day. And when we see the end, the order will look left, the guy right in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Oh, look. Look, seriously though, how awesome is the world when you can sing We're in the Money in Pig Latin? Like that, like the little joys, everybody. Just, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. And not get distracted by chat. Who are you? And what? Look, the only way I was able to get not distracted by chat, Krellin, was by holding my megaphone right here, so it blocks my sight lines of chat. So if I do this, I can't get distracted by chat because, you know, I can't see it. And so then no distraction. But the minute that happens, and partly it's because I'm very easily visually distracted and I have chat right where I can see it. So the minute chat moves, my eye just goes right there to see what's happening. It's just one of those things. Airway and hit the anime. You don't, Dutch Teddy. Oh, Dutch Teddy. Dutch Teddy. We'll talk about that song. Wow, I did not mean to bum you out. Oh, you didn't bum me out. You didn't bum me out at all, Caldrake. He needs a physical barrier to keep from. I do. Actually, I need a physical. That's it. You could. Tom was like, oh God. For a second, you could see his brain. It's true. I did. I had to actually. Was like, wait. What are the lyrics? Yeah. Song from the 30s about money. I mean, they still recover from the crash or about. No. This song was from 1933, so they were right in the height of the crash. This song was like that's the irony of the song, right? Because the song is about how they're all like performers, or all like it's Gold Diggers of 1933. It centers around 3 or 4 women. Like the main character is Ruby Keeler, and then she's got like a couple of buddies. Like they're all like roommates. Like there 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember. I know that like Ginger Rogers is one of the buddies. I know there's a second buddy, like a brunette, and there's probably like there's either like 3 or 4 buddies. Anyway, they're all super poor. Like they're super poor actors in New York who want to make it big on Broadway, but they're like, they have no money, they can't eat food. And of course the movie starts with this huge production number. This is how it starts. I believe that's exactly how it starts. It starts off, I think it starts with this number where you see Ginger Rogers, and she's wearing gold coins, like large, like she's got a large gold coin around her groin and around her body. Like she's wearing all these gold coins, and all these women come out like in this huge Busby Berkeley line, all wearing all these big gold coins. And it's like so lush and it's so amazing. She comes out and she starts singing how we're in the money and how we don't have to worry about the depression because everything is fine and we're great and everything is perfect. And they do the whole thing. And then there's like cut because all the creditors come in and like this is a show within a show, right? So all the creditors come in and they're like, hey, producer, you haven't actually paid for this show. And they just start taking everything from everybody. Like they just take all the stuff, and the show, of course, gets canceled. And of course, she's just like a dancer, right? And all these people are like in the show, but now they don't have any money because they've been fired and like they're really poor. And what are they going to do? And so it's like about these, but it's really about Ruby Keeler, who's like the plucky gal from the Midwest who wants to be a star, but she, like everybody else, is really poor. And then like she's got this boyfriend who's like a songwriter, but he's really poor, and they're all really poor. And it's all about like, you know, you work hard and somebody falls down some stairs and ruins their leg, and then like you get to be on stage as the understudy, and then you become a star. Anyway, the point is, it was all about how people didn't have any money. Like it was, it was our dramatic irony. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Atomic is right. All the girls singing and dancing them are dead broke. I did not hear it. Figuring out an audio problem. Continue, please. Because if I remember right, that scene is a group trying to show that yes, it's yes, exactly, Atomica. They're trying to show the producer, but I think that basically the debt collectors come in and just tear everything down. You may want to put the game up in the background if you have any intention. Oh no, okay, I'll do that. Let's just put it right up there. Thank you, Rissa. Error 404, joy not found. Please try a different search engine. Coldrake. Coldrake. Oh, Coldrake. Oh. Coldrake. Coldrake. Coldrake, right now. Coldrake. I blame Coldrake for Coldrake. Have you been following me? Have you been sneaking into my brain secretly? Coldrake just said that I need to sing some Rudy Valley, who sang songs like Megaphone. Why do you think I bought the Megaphone in the first place, Coldrake? Why do you think I bought the Megaphone? I bought the Megaphone because I want to sing Rudy Valley songs. Like, that's true statement. True statement, no lie. I was like, I want to sing Rudy Valley songs, also Whispering Jack Smith songs, also some Al Bowley songs. Like, basically, I want to sing a bunch of 1920s crooner songs, and they all use megaphones, and that is why I got this megaphone. But the thing is, and this is like, seriously, do you know how hard it is to find a megaphone? I searched for years on the internet, years and years, to try to find a megaphone, and all I could find were either the electronic ones, right, the bullhorns, or the plastic or cardboard ones that that cheerleaders use, yell leaders use, but they're like all branded with some college. And I wanted like a real authentic metal megaphone, like a really good one, and I could not find one on the internet. I was like so frustrated for years, and I just was like so sad because I wanted this megaphone so I could sing Rudy Valley songs, and I looked so hard. And I remember one day I just happened to mention it to my research librarian at the university they work at, and I was like, I feel really frustrated that I cannot find a megaphone, like a real one, not like a cheap one that's like cardboard and has like Go Thundercats on it or whatever. And my research librarian, who's a specialist in like he's early music, so I mean he does basically, his specialization was kind of early American music, so he was like doing a lot of stuff in the 17th and 18th century. And I'll tell you what, a good research librarian, they can find you things. And and I need to email him because he retired and I wanted to say hi to him. But anyway, he did his like magic research, and he found this megaphone and he linked it to me, and I got it, and now I have it. Oh, I can't even describe how excited I am to have this. Like, you don't know, like, I have wanted this megaphone for a really long time, like decades. I wanted this megaphone and I could never find it, and I have it. And so now I can sing these old crooner songs, and I can sing Melancholy Baby or Sleepy Time Gal, or that Mellow Melody. There's so many songs, or the Stein song, and I could sing them, and I'm so excited. I cannot handle it. I just need you to know how excited I am. That's all. A woman wearing a large gold coin over her groin. That's not on the nose or anything. No, Sal. Atomic says, I swear there's one girl in that single file that line after the blur pulled back who looks like me, Lucas. Yeah, and I actually, Atomic, have I thought about that? I will tell you. All the money poured into musical and nobody can afford to eat due to the depression. Yes. Allentown. Did you say Allentown? Because 42nd Street. One more time for Teddy. Oh, Teddy. Oh, Teddy. Oh, no. Teddy. My Teddy from the Pearl Code is actually just in the other room. Also, by the way, I bought 2 new bookshelves that I'm going to put right there and there, so I can put all of my props on that shelf. Prepare it, and then also I can unpack a few more boxes. Let's see. No, Kuldrick, you're not in trouble. You are just psychically linked to me. Adonis, for years, damn, give the hipster culture that kicked into full gear several years ago, you'd think bullhorns might be more easy to find. I know, right? But it took a long time. Atomic says, I basically want to be a research librarian, but for like entertainment media, mostly movies, but like music and video games too. Oh, that would be very cool, Atomica, because actually nowadays we actually really do need research librarians who really know their media very well. When did the megaphone fall out of use? Hey, Artie Snack, I'm doing well. I've got thoughts in my mind because I'm always a complicated person, but I will. but I'm doing well. I have thoughts, like ponderances. The megaphone fell out of use in, so 1924 is when we got the electric microphone. So before 1924, we just didn't have them. And the megaphone came into use. All right, so what I'm going to tell you is this. Okay, I'm going to tell you this thing, and then also I'm going to sing the song for Dutch Teddy. I'm going to sing it. I don't believe you ever don't have. Okay, that's true. I tend to have too many thoughts in my head all the time. Did I ever tell you what I want to target my thesis as? No. Tell us. I want to hear it. I love hearing about people's theses. So earlier singing styles tended to be very loud, like you project really like hardcore, and people will say that the spread of the microphone, the electric microphone, 1924. Is what was what enabled the style of singing called crooning. But the thing is, it wasn't actually true that it was the microphone, because people started singing in this new style, this crooning style, using the megaphone first. So the megaphone probably started becoming popular around the turn of the century, like maybe the 1890s or something like this. Because the crooning is actually a fairly, like a short time period. Well, no, it goes on later, but I mean, it didn't start. So that people were singing first with the megaphone, and then the microphone came out in 1924, and so people switched to the microphone, so they started singing the microphone that way. But you also have to know this. This is like, I'm giving you some music history right now, people. It's our life. And then I'm going to sing for Dutch Teddy, by the way. Dutch Teddy, do not think I'm going to avoid you, because I'm going to let you know the whole song. That there was a shift in crooning styles. It's actually really interesting. People today, when they think crooners, they think late Sinatra. Hey, Ro, welcome in. And this is really, really interesting, because there's a lot of interesting stuff about gender and sexuality that are tied into the crooner. It's super fascinating. It's actually, good, Dutch Teddy, I'm so glad that you're back, because I can sing it for you. There's actually there's like a really huge cultural debate around crooners, and there was a shift in what crooning meant and what it sounded like that has to do with gender and sexuality. It's super interesting. So Atomic says, I want to basically, for lack of a better way to put it, write a book about modern Diamond in the Rough movies that aren't buried yet, like 70s and 90s movies that people just barely remember. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, memory and forgetting is really interesting to me as well. Like, what do we remember? What do we forget? That's really fascinating. And I would say one of my bits of advice to you would be to look up charts. Like, I think there are a couple things that you could do would be really interesting depending on where you're going, but you could look up things like Oscar nominations, not the things that won, but the things that didn't. If you can look at box office charts, what you'll end up finding is there are a number of films that are often quite important in their time period that we just don't remember now. And that goes true for all media. Would Max Robin not be considered a crooner too? Yeah, he is. I mean, that's what he's. I mean, it's a little bit different because the word crooner is also kind of national dependent. But yeah, you could call him a crooner of the earlier style. That's what he's doing. Oh, I remember Adventures in Babysitting Row without a doubt, because nobody gets out without singing the blues, without a doubt. So here's the thing. So the thing is, all the like I really enjoyed Adventures in Babysitting at the time. Like, I want to shine a lot of movies before they get buried. Everyone remembers stuff like Ghostbusters and Godfather and Men in Black, but who remembers The American President with Michael Douglas? Yeah, right. Yes. Oh, Don't Tell Mom the Baby Racers. That's a good one. So, Coldrake, what you're pointing to is what I wanted to get to, is the shift in crooning styles. And this is like really, really interesting. So when we think about crooning today, we tend to think about a baritone, like a deeper voiced baritone dude who is cool and kind of like the man, and kind of like people who think about crooning now will often think about a later Sinatra,
Somebody's watching me.
I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Thank you so much, Dark Raven 177, for the follow. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome in. I like American President. Also, Dave Atomic says, like, how many people read that and went, oh yeah, that movie. I kind of want to figure out what makes a movie stand out over time and what gets forgotten, but is good enough to get rediscovered later. And remember, it's often not about quality at all. Sometimes it's about weird things. Dutch Day says, memory is fluid. I have forgotten stuff, but remember other stuff. Also, my short-term memory is a bit damaged, so I can forget stuff rather fast. What now is he singing and the audio is low again? No, I haven't sung yet. I got those bit song coming in because we've got the bit song for Dutch Teddy. Dutch Teddy, tell me when your audio is back, and then I'm gonna sing for you. Yes, Prax thinks of Tony Bennett. Yes. If it's good today, it will always be good. But then of course that's just not true. There were things that were like considered the greatest stuff ever at their time, and we just don't even know about them anymore at all. And sometimes what gets remembered and what doesn't, it's really weird. So for example, silent films in the silent film era, studios would often send out the master, like they just didn't really keep a lot of these things. And what would happen is that people would play the silent films until they disintegrated. So what happens is that some of like like we know the Gish sisters, the Talmadge sisters were as popular as the Gish sisters and sometimes more popular. They were so popular that basically all their films were destroyed because everyone played them to death. And so many of the films we have from the silent era that were films were not as popular, like Louise Brooks from like Pandora's Box, who's amazing, but she just wasn't actually that popular at the time, and so her films were not played as often. And so copies still exist because they weren't burned through. So it's really weird, some things that get remembered and some things that don't. It's just like a weird thing. Yeah. So Coldrake says, crooning, to sing or hum in a soft, soothing voice, to croon to a baby, to sing in an evenly modulated, slightly exaggerated manner. Popular singers began crooning in the 30s to utter a low murmuring sound. Okay, and also that's just not true because they started crooning earlier, right? And this is a thing that I wanted to get to. This is really important. Basically, crooners got popular when microphones got good enough that you didn't have to yell at them to pick up their good vocals, except that they use megaphones. These are all the things people say. So look, here's the thing. This is so, even if a good song is forgotten today, it can still be good today and be discovered, except that some things that people thought were good, we don't think are good now. And that's the thing that I think is really important, that there are things that people thought were amazing and were really, really good, and we hear it today and we're like, oh, that's terrible. Because our like, good is not an objective thing. Like, a good song is not objective. It's not like an objective truth that, like, if something is good, it is somehow inherently and fundamentally good, and then we'll throughout all time we will like it. Because what is good is basically based on your sort of cultural spaces. And so, but there's just basically no objective good. There's like subjective good and like collective good, but there's no objective good. Yeah. Yes, everything is subjective. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes, that's right. I mean, everything is subjective, and I think it's just important to remember that. Like, and Fanny Bryce would not be considered good today. Yeah, that's true. Fanny Bryce would not be considered good today. Actually, there are a bunch of people who are singers who, back in the day, I mean, like I play people like Sophie Tucker or Mae West to my students, and they're like, "Oh, she's not a good singer." And I was like, for today's standards, you might not think of her as a good singer, but at the time she was considered, both of them were considered some of the best singers around. And like, but they're not even singing. It was like, but at the time they were considered singing, right? You know what I mean? Like, and just sort of thinking about what considers good is, you know, that kind of thing. There were students who I had who thought Aretha Franklin, Janis Joplin were horrible singers. Yeah. You being a good singer, yeah, that's right. You being a good singer is subjective. It's true. Being a good, yeah, that's true. The Beatles at one time were rebellious and subversive to parents. Oh my gosh, people thought the Beatles were like, they're like, what is happening? Like, if you could just watch that. There's an episode of the Flintstones where they're basically making fun of the Beatles. I think they call them like the Buggles or whatever, or bug music. They call it bug music rather than beat music, and it's basically mocking the Beatles because it, you know, was a little distressing. My dad crushed so hard on Janis Joplin. She was cool. Okay, so here's the thing. What we think of as crooning now is not what crooning was, and the switch from the early crooning to the later crooning is all about gender and sexuality and anxiety about women's sexuality in interesting ways. Dark Urban says, if you want to say something is good or great is defined by certain rules that all of us can agree on. Yeah, the only problem is that like not everyone can agree on those rules at all. Like, and that's the problem that happens all the time, is that people don't agree on what is good or great. And often what gets to count as good or great is based on power, like who has cultural power in that moment. They get to decide what is good or great. And so then some things which might be good or great to other people, but those people don't have power, those things don't get to be considered good or great. And who writes the history books, who writes music theory, who teaches music, who ranks charts. Like it's real tricky. Hey, Schmelta. Rose says, total side note and majorly out of context, but I want someone to convince me gravity is subjective for funds. That's interesting. Well, I would imagine that people would experience gravity very differently. Like if you are, if you can fly, I imagine birds experience gravity subjectively differently. Do you know what I mean? I would imagine that would be the case. You can jump successfully, so you can temporarily make gravity fail. So it's your opinion. Coldrake, I posted a YouTube link about how the microphone changed how we sing. Yeah, Coldrake, this bugs. This bugs me so much. This is a story that ignores all the early crooners. And I get why it happens, but it bugs. It bugs me. Dark Ribbon says, what I'm saying that the rules are not subjective, like vocals, quality, talent, those types of things. No, those are totally subjective. Those are totally subjective. The rules totally are subjective, Dark Raven. But I say gravity, not perception. Well, but here's the thing. We only perceive gravity. That you know what I mean? Like we only perceive it. So we can't know it outside of our perception. Right? Like we can't know it outside of our perception. So yeah, no, birds do it, bees do it. But yeah, but no, the rules like vocals, quality, talent, those things are totally subjective. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's how I tell you this is subjective. Are you ready? Here's my thing for you, Dark Raven. I am a musicologist by trade. I study music. I teach music. But I am a popular music scholar, so I study popular music. And I have been told almost my entire professional career by people that objectively classical music is better than popular music and popular music is bad and not even really music. By objective rules that we can all agree on, all popular music is trash, has no value, and is not good. Also, classical music outside of Germany, France, Italy and maybe some Russia is objectively not good. It is objectively bad. There's no quality to it. It has no value, and it's probably bad for you. And that's interesting for them, right? And there was a set of there were some scientists who are not music scholars. They were scientists, but I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be bad. They were scientists, and they sent an email message to our listserv, like the listserv for the American Musicological Society, like, you know, the Society of Musicologists. And they're like, hey, we want to do some objective study to find out what is the best music of all time in all places. And we thought we might consult with some musicologists to sort of come up with the objective criteria we can use to judge what makes music good objectively. And I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be so bad. This is so bad. This is like a terrible thing. And they got some people, and I know what people they got. And then they did this like objective criteria where they used big data. They went through all recordings and all this stuff and to figure out what was the best music of all time, of all place, objectively. And guess what the best music of all time and all place, objectively measured by scientists using computers and big data, weird, it's Beethoven. And I could have told you they were going to say that because those people are not objective people, right? When they go into that experiment to make their objective criteria, they already believe that Beethoven is better than all other music. And so when they come up with their objective criteria, they're going to pick criteria that is going to favor Beethoven. And so then when they do their objective survey and the computer goes through everything, surprise, surprise, the best music of all time objectively is somehow 18th, 19th century German music. Weird. And isn't it also weird that all of the people who invented the field of music scholarship in the modern era were all Germans. And they were all Germans who invented this field right when Germany was becoming a country, and they needed a national story to make Germany coherent as a thing because Germany was not a country. And it's weird that all of a sudden German music becomes the most genius music, all said by them, and then they all come to the United States in the 1930s and they all teach us that German's music is the best music. Like, I mean, it's not like this is one of those things where we want to believe that our taste is objective. We want to believe it because we don't want to think, like, not everybody wants to believe this. Like, I don't actually care. Like, I know that my taste is subjective and I don't care about it. But we want to believe that we like this thing because it actually is better. And the problem with this is that those people who say those things that, you know, Beethoven's objectively better than everybody else, is that they then say, I am then also a better person than other people, and I have better taste, right? I can recognize the truth of the genius of Beethoven, and so therefore I'm a smarter person than other people who don't. I'm certainly a smarter person than people who listen to popular music, who are brain dead. I'm a smarter person. I'm therefore more enlightened and therefore more ethical as a person. My value system is more correct, and so therefore it is justified, 19th century, for me to invade other countries and make them listen to my music or my other stuff, right? My clothing, my et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you believe in the objective rightness of your subjective space, that is used to oppress other people, is what happens. Like, and that's, and it's, yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Oh, I want to get myself caught up. Yeah. Okay. I actually didn't get too far. Quality, especially as a subjective, as someone who works in the live entertaindustry industry. Oh yeah. I subjectively think that people saying that are pretentious jackbacks. That is true based on what you value when you rate the sounds. Mm-hmm. How the F do you objectively judge music? Oh, Krellin. They have all sorts of ways. Like in many ways, the entire field of music theory, modern music theory, is based on this idea that you could objectively judge music. It's a trip. Atomica says, so Trooper, a friend of mine pointed something out about my musical taste now. I used to be a huge metalhead, but I've expanded. He pointed out the other day that most of what I listen to now is pop, but like always with dark lyrics. That would be home and metal. Well, that's interesting. Also, it's all popular music. King Rinsula TV says, I got this game yesterday. I kind of like Guardians of the Galaxies. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Objectively judging the best of anything is subjective, yeah. It's like certain filmmakers saying that superhero movies are objectively bad and can't compare it to other real movies. Oh, yeah. Hey, Takadosh. Of course we passed the test. We wrote it. Mm-hmm. Where we were, I skipped forward a little bit too much. Yes, the soundtrack of the movie Beethoven, because Beethoven's the best dog. Who is a moron getting money for this? Look, I'm just telling you, people are really invested because classical music does work for nationalism. Sal says, oh yes, people who claim to be objective in order to flatter their own rational egos. No looking back. Of course it's Beethoven. But you have to start with Bach, right? Dark Ribbon says, classical music is good, as is a standalone category. The base of all music came from those sounds. But that's also not true, Dark Raven. Classical music is not the basis of all musical sounds. Classical music, the classical music we're talking about, is from basically 1750 to 1918, about. That's what we're going to call the... Well, that's actually classical and romantic put together, but basically when people are talking about classical music, they're talking about classic and romantic music, coming of tonality, that sort of thing. And first off, so that's really like about 150 or so years, like 170. So it's not that long. And it's only from Central Europe. People made music outside of Central Europe. Like there are sounds like people in China had music that had nothing to do with Beethoven, was not based on it, was not the basis of it. And early European music also is not based on that. Like, so like basically this idea that somehow music from basically 1750 to 1918 is the basis for all of our music is just not true. But it's important because the people who said that were saying that at a time when their nation states were being formed and they were being created as countries. And they really like, and it's also about like Eurocentrism. Like it's like there's a bunch going on there, but like, you know, yeah. I love how most new classical style music is mostly from video games. Yeah, music didn't exist before classical music. To be fair, it was the pop music. It depends. That depends because a lot of it wasn't the pop music of its day. Some of it was. Some of the opera was, but the thing about classical music is that a lot of it, not the later part, when we get the romantic, it's different because we have the Industrial Revolution and then you have middle class culture, but most of it was actually not the popular music of its day. Most of it was commissioned by the aristocracy or the church for themselves. A lot of the music that we think of, a lot of the classical music was commissioned by nobles to be played in their courts, and the populace never got to hear it. So it wasn't, if you think of popular as being for the populace, it wasn't for the populace at all. Some opera was, although that's why opera isn't considered as great as symphonic music, but a lot of that music was not at all popular. I mean, it was popular with rich people who owned those musicians and commissioned them and kept them in their court, but it wasn't actually the poppy music. There was other stuff. There's like a lot of really cool popular music from the 1600s and 1700s that is not classical music though. Broadside ballads. There's these really cool pieces. Sometimes we don't get the like folk songs, things like that. There's a bunch of stuff that's really neat, but we don't learn about those things in school because nobles didn't make it. Yeah. Well, if you want to throw an intelligence into music taste, that is a slant. Well, but that's what they do, Dark Raven, right? They say that if you can recognize the genius of the music, you are a smarter person than people who can't. And the thing is, I will say this, people today still, like, not classical music people still do it today, right? But pop music people still do it as well. There are a lot of popular music people who make the same arguments that my classical music snobs do. They just make it about, they're like, well, I listen to indie, or I listen to metal, or I listen to progressive rock, or I listen to alternative, and therefore I'm smarter than the sheeple who listen to like Katy Perry. Because if you listen to Katy Perry, you're not as smart as me who listens to, Elvis Costello or whatever. And so like that sort of equation of being able to have discerning taste with intelligence is a thing that people do all the time. It's terrible. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Wait, I can't do that yet because I have to sing the song. That's all. Techno remixes of Beethoven's Beth. Oh, Atomica. Why techno remixes of Beethoven when you could do disco remixes of Beethoven? If you all, first off, there's some people who are old enough to know it. If you've not heard Fifth of Beethoven, the disco song, then you should hear it. Da 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 da. Da da da. It's from the 70s. It's disco. It's great. Rose says, as far as I'm concerned, the only bad music is the music played so loud your neighbors are forced to hear a shitty, drowned out version of it. Prax says, actually, classical was the alternative of the day. That's right. Popular music was folk because of the classical inherent in most German. Okay, but I actually am a better person than the present because I want people to have healthcare, not a device. Right, but that's not about your musical taste, Krellin. C.A. Berlit says, I'm a physicist, engineer, researcher, and we have so many discussions with people judging their taste. Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. C.A. Berlitz, if I might jump on what you're saying and give you some props, I just want to say that one of the things I think is so amazing is that when you get into people who are super sciencey, like really sciencey, especially physicists, but also mathematicians, they know that these things are not objective. Like you talk to a physicist, they're like, yeah, no, like sometimes like there's some really cool things, but just watching things cause certain like things to happen. Like they know like weirdness. Physicists know how weird reality is, and like I respect physicists for that. People also claim vintage wine is better, even if the experts get fooled of box wine. Personal taste of, yeah, that's fair. Well, only this small niche techno made by this one angry Welshman no one has heard of. Praxis, opera became pop in Italy because of frequently free performances. That's right. The only reason why opera became pop was because there were free performances. And what's really interesting is that there have always been sort of operas that there's like let's just say there are two tiers of opera, and this is sort of messed up, but this is how classism works. There are two tiers of opera. There are these kind of public operas that were more often what we would call operetta now, maybe, or Singspiel, or there are a couple other names for them, but they're basically kind of like the Fledermaus, or like they're kind of a bit more musical comedy. And they tend to do with more sort of like regular people. And like basically there's a whole tradition of opera that was for the public. And those opera don't tend to be the opera that are taught of as being great. So like there's like bunches and bunches of these operas that were basically a bit more populous and more popular. And those don't tend to be studied as often as like the more elite opera like Wagner. And it's just like, Wagner was commissioned by nobility. Tom Waits is a horrible singer, but I love when he sings. But I don't think Tom Waits is a horrible singer, Kitchen. I think he does what he does very, very well. And if he sang those songs in a different way, it wouldn't work. Like if Tom Waits were singing as if he were Luciano Pavarotti, none of those songs would work very well. You know what I mean? Like they would not work well at all. No, I'm going into the game. I'm doing it. I'm telling you. I'm doing it. Technically, Trooper plays games on streams just to make sure he has time to play them. It's true. And Peruvian music as well. It all sounds like they're very different. I mean, clearly people aren't here for the game, but no. But I'm here. We're gonna do it. I think it does because if you want to say that we should say their music at other parts of the world, I think I missed the context of that comment. or the narrative TTRPG people framing. Yeah, this is right. So, but you can't talk about inclusion when they never wanted to share it. Wait, explain that comment. I don't understand. I think there's an argument for adding a streamer vlog on music. Yeah. Yeah, I would. The probably only problem. This is I need to go and talk to I've got a connection to 2 different lawyers, because I really want to do some like music streams, but copyright stuff is a little bit tricky, so I need to figure out what they're saying. If you don't know what I mean, then don't ask me questions when you don't even understand my point, or even no. I'm trying. Basically, I didn't understand what the comment was because I just wanted a more full sentence there, because when you said you can't talk about inclusion when they never wanted to share it, could you explain that sentence? Who's the they in that sentence, and what is the context? What is the context? Basically, I'm just trying to understand that. What are Brecht plays? They sing them. Well, it depends. They're different words people will use. Shabai says, I really started a master's degree in history of religion. Half of what I learned so far is that academics have no clue what religion even means from an academic standpoint. Well, that's true. I was making a counterpoint, but yeah, could you explain the counterpoint, Dark Raven, please? I would love to if you could expand your comment so that I can understand your counterpoint. That would be awesome. I would appreciate that very much, so that I can take in your point. Dutch Teddy, I hope you're still here and listening. Dutch Teddy, are you still here? Because I'm going to sing the song for you now. Rain World. Oh, Rain World. I'm going to be there for it. It's their next one. So I hope Dutch Teddy is still here, because I've got a bit song to sing. So I hope Dutch Teddy's here. I hope so. Dutch Teddy. The original. English. We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. We're in the money. The skies are sunny. Oh man, depression, you're through. You done us wrong. No, we never read headlines about breadlines today. And when we see the landlord, we can look that guy right in the eye. We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Right? That's it in English. And then in Pig Latin. Airway and hey the anime. Airway and hey the anime. Way up, gale up, way up, way it wakes to tit gale young way. Airway and hey the anime. Either ice skates or ani say. Oh man, did he and pray, we are you a stay on way on rail. He will ever eat red lions lay, of red brands lay, today. And when we see the end, Lord will look like the guy in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Okay, and now I'm in there. Yes. I hope that, so we're gonna talk to Sanjar. So while we talk to him, I've got to tell you about crooning, because
if the
like
iconoclasts reach
there's a
that ship
thing.
First,
There's a thing.
be any chance for a peaceful monarch. I don't suppose you've found the targeting module yet. I've sent patrols, but they're running into trouble with the iconoclasts.
Sanjar, what does it take to get along? We've got a lot of money, apparently. All it takes to get along is, but they say, they mean get along is like, they don't mean like get along with other people, they mean like get along like pay your rent is what they mean. Can you agree with a truce? Yes.
They're all mad. And what's more,
Ooh.
they left us.
Ooh.
I don't see any way for us to work together.
No, I've read your review, Sanjar. You can't do this alone.
Not this again.
No, seriously.
Remember what we practiced, sir.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Dark Raven.
The words in those reviews were very hurtful, but they do not define me.
Mm-hmm.
I am a mantipillar, and my will is my cocoon. I can emerge and become whatever I wish.
Okay. Dark Raven says, what I was saying that classical music is like the origin of music. the further point of it being a standalone time period of music that sort of gave birth to all music, so to speak, which is why people say that the music from that time period is the greatest. You were saying that classical music is not the only music in the world, that places like China had music, but that music was never shared until after the wars. Shared with whom? And also, so first off, you have to, I think what you have to know, Dark Raven, is that classical music is really only the music from Germany, France, and Italy. Only those three countries. Other countries also had music, also in Europe. There was music, and also people in Europe traveled and heard music. There's a lot of like elements of Middle Eastern music that also finds its way into classical music, but also the vast majority of the populace in Europe also didn't listen to classical music. They had folk music instead. And that music is also stuff that come with us. And what we think of as classical music is not what art music sounded like in the 1300s. It was a completely different system of music in Europe before about the 1750s, 1740s or so, you could say, before Bach. It was a different style of music, completely with different logic, different setup, and a sound that we don't actually tend to use today at all, but that was certainly there and present. And we live in the United States. I mean, the music that we listen to right now has as much of a basis in African music stylings as it does in European classical music, and also European folk music, which is also not classical music. So the idea that European classical music, which is mostly from three countries and not even all of Europe, is the basis of all music is not actually accurate, because the Silk Road, people were hearing Chinese music in the 1600s, in the 1700s. They were listening to Mongolian music. They were listening to music of India, for heaven's sake. Oh, lots of Indian music. People have been hearing music, I mean, because basically, and then also Greek music has nothing to do with classical music, and that was happening, and people were sort of like obsessed with Greek music for a while too. Like the idea that that German, French, and Italian classical music from 1750 to 1918 is the basis of all music, when I can just play you some pop songs and point to you that actually is from Africa, that's from the Middle East, that's from like, it doesn't historically track. Like it's not a historically accurate statement. Now, for some people, who are very isolationist and only stay within an upper class Germanocentric system, that might be the only music for them, and the basis of all of their music. But it's not accurate to say that it is the basis of all music, because Europe is not the world, right? If you say that classical music is the basis of all music, you're basically saying that only Central European music is music, and everything else outside of Central Europe, which includes Spain, includes Scandinavia, includes Russia, isn't music, right? It's something else. Like there's the center core of music, everything else is on the outside. But you have to think globally, because if you grow up your whole life in Tanzania, then what's going on in Germany is not as relevant or central to your life. And there are people who grew up in Tanzania, and there's still people, and they still have music. And also they shared, like these musicians have traveled. For example, cymbals, cymbals, the Zildjian cymbals, the brand name Zildjian, cymbals are from the Middle East. And classical music would not even be classical music had they not gotten some of the percussion they got from the Middle East, or if they hadn't actually gotten some of the treatises they had gotten that had been saved from the Ottoman Empire. So like basically we're a lot more globally connected than people like to imagine. People like to imagine that we're not, but people have been talking to each other for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's not like it's like we're a much more like global space than people like to imagine. There's been a lot more cross-cultural sort of influence, let's see. Side note, I'm at the same point in the game. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. So your point is because there is regional variance in music, only music from Europe is the origin. So I also think people don't make that determination. Which determination? So unfair that all the Halloween candies in the shops. Oh, no. I doubt classical music was the start of music. It was part of a chain of music styles, most likely, the would know. I mean, it's one of many styles in the world, right? I'm sure people living in the South America, Asia, Middle East, yeah. Okay, would you say it was the start of mainstream? Well, you're at PH, mainstream wear. Mainstream wear. and not everywhere, right? Yeah, mainstream where, because it's certainly not the basis of mainstream music in Ghana. It's certainly not the basis of mainstream music in the United States, to be fair. I mean, yeah, I mean, if I recall correctly, Gershwin's opera reporting is considered classical music today. No, Takahashi, it's considered one of the first American. That's tricky because it's sort of like a folk jazz opera. So, mainstream of music that we track throughout time. Music evolved. Music is evolving always. But which mainstream? If by mainstream you mean only classical music, but that then means only a certain number of people get to be the center. Like, this is the problem with self-other and basically Eurocentrism, right? I bought Halloween candy. Today the music is evolving more than you say, more with, as you say. But the thing is, Dark Ribbon, is that it was global. It was always global. That's the thing that I think this thing that people don't realize is that the world has been global for a really long time. It's not like it's just today. It's been global for a very, very long time. Was classical music ever really mainstream among the working classes? Okay, yes, but not until much later, and really not exactly. No, not really. Opera was mainstream among working classes in Italy in certain places, but not high art opera, but more like low art opera was. But it was never it was never really mainstream among working classes. And I think the working classes have their own musical traditions, many of which are the basis of the popular music we listen to today. And so that becomes important. Yeah. And no, I do not. I forgive your teasing completely, Atomica. China traded with everyone. You can even trace whether it was Northern China or Southern China by what their word for tea is. Yeah. Mainstream is really a term that can only be applied to an open society. And also, it's also subjective what mainstream is, because there are also value judgments about what is or what isn't mainstream. And I will always remember when Nirvana was top 10, and I knew all those people were like, I don't listen to mainstream music, I listen to Nirvana. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Nirvana's top 10 the pop charts. Like, I know that you don't think it's mainstream, but I really don't know what to tell you. Like, it is like the mainest of streams right now, but like mainstream is like ideological as well as practical. Like, but then also why would being number in the top 10 of the US pop charts make you mainstream? Because there are a bunch of songs that were top 10s in the German pop charts that never made it to the American pop charts. Does that mean it's not mainstream? And if you say it's not mainstream, that means that you think that only what America likes is mainstream, which is convenient if you're American. But if you don't live in America, then like maybe you don't even care. Like I remember when Garth Brooks went mainstream, right? And he was all over the US pop charts. He was not in the European pop charts. And he was not in a bunch of other pop charts. So like, what does mainstream mean? And also, pop charts themselves are not objective measures. They're the measures of sales, of market sales in that moment. But they don't measure, for example, what people are listening to at home or what they're doing. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that's like, it's like tricky. It's tricky. Yeah, Roman Empire was real big on moving people around. Tea or chai, yes. Feudal societies would have more than one mainstream. You could even say that there are multiple mainstreams. Yeah, there are, or just multiple streams, right? There are multiple streams. The Norwegian word for tea is te. When I say mainstream, I mean our music started from Europe. Disagree, and was made to be shared like on radio. No, the termination I was talking about is that most people don't say classical music being from 3 countries. So when I say mainstream, I'm talking England. Yeah, okay, so I'm from California, where the 13 English colonies did not found where I'm from. I would like the settler colonialists that founded MySpace were the Spanish, not the English. And I think that it's really like, this is the thing. So, all right, I know we're playing, but look, we're gonna have to talk about Eurocentrism, and we have to talk about this. If you are Eurocentric, right? If you think that everything starts and begins with Europe specifically, what you're doing is you're marginalizing people who are not from that space. To say that everything, first off, you're also basing mainstream on the United States, which is weird because there are other countries. And first off, classical music was not made for the radio because there was no radio yet, right? I mean, we didn't get the radio until much later. And it wasn't made to be shared on the radio. It wasn't made to be shared at all. Like, classical music from the classical period was not made to be shared. It was made to be played in some duke's court with only the duke and his friends hearing it. It wasn't made to be shared with the masses, who they had no respect for. They didn't care about the masses. They didn't like the masses. They thought the masses were trash and had no value. And they did not let the masses into their courts to listen to this music. So this music was not meant to be shared. It was meant to be exclusive. It was meant to show off how rich and how powerful you were. That's why they commissioned these pieces of music with like really difficult orchestras or singers who were the best singers, because they wanted to show that they were better than their neighboring noble. And this was not meant to be shared. And most people didn't even know most of this music because they never had access to it. But those people still made music. And the music that they made is also important and also is part of our legacy and heritage. And most people don't say classical music from being from countries, but it is, because if you listen to like a classical music station, they play the same stuff, and they play the same composers for the most part. Every once in a while they'll be spicy and like throw in a little bit of Stravinsky maybe or Tchaikovsky, but not most Russian music. They'll do like a couple, and they might be a little bit spicy and maybe throw in like Handel, who's English but he's really German. Probably not going to get Elgar. It's like when most people like think about classical music, they're going to name the same couple of composers and they're from the same countries, and that because that's what they understand classical music to be. And maybe they don't actually are not well educated, so they don't realize that it's actually a really narrow set of people, but it's pretty narrow. And the idea that like the mainstream is England 13 colonies birth of American, that's tricky. And also I would say that, well, no, but the problem is the general terms you're using, Dark Raven, are perpetuate harm. I will put it that way. Pretty sure there was music meant to be spread before classical music as well. Yep. Of importance placed on music in a lot of early countries in Europe, like Old Norse, Ancient Greece, Rome. So the thing is, let's just talk about who is and who isn't American for a moment, and who is or who doesn't count as culture. When the narrative, which I've heard a lot, that America comes from the 13 English colonies, which is something that English people said quite a lot in the United States. What that does is it tells you certain things. It tells you that only people from English stock are real Americans, and only culture coming from English culture is real American culture. And what that means then is that the Native Americans that we genocided, it was okay to genocide them because they weren't really mainstream, they weren't really Americans. The idea of sort of like the English, the Anglo-Saxon as the center was used to justify genocide and slavery. It was also used to justify the Chinese Exclusion Act, numerous immigration acts that disadvantaged people who were not Anglo-Saxon, like Irish and Italian, Jews. It's the same way that today people say, I'm a real American and you should go back to your home country, right? That the real American who's English doesn't have to go back to his or her home country or their home country, right? This is an ideology of value, of valuing some people more than others. And I will tell you, if you look at modern American music, it is as much, if not more, connected to African music than it is to European classical music. The rhythm, the beats, blue notes, a number of things that we have in our music are directly related to Africans because we stole them and enslaved them and then took their music and then incorporated and made stuff with it, right? Also Irish fiddle tunes, which is not classical music either. There's like a lot of Irish folk music, Black folk music, Caribbean folk music. Native American stuff still has its holdover. There's some Polynesian stuff that's in it. Like there's basically a lot of stuff that is not classical music that forms the basis of the musical cultures we have today. And by denying those things, what we're saying is that those people are not really fully what it means to be American. They're not part of the fabric of this country. They are always other, right? There's the center, the core. And if the center, the core are the 13 colonies, that erases so many people. It makes them always already outsiders to the country, never really the center. Chinese Americans built our railroads along with enslaved African Americans, and they have been here for hundreds of years, and they're as much a part of this culture as anyone else is. But the rhetoric, and this is really important because we use music this way all the time. Music is used to create who is a citizen or is not a citizen of a country, who is in the imagination deserves to have the heritage of this space. Who is the better human being? Music and art is used for politics all the time. It is one of the reasons why Hitler, when he came to power, destroyed all sorts of art that he didn't like. He had these degenerate music festivals, degenerate art festivals. We would destroy stuff. He's like, this is not, and you can go back to Wagner. Wagner wrote a piece of music, a piece of writing called On Judaism and Music. And Wagner, people love Wagner. They think he's a genius and one of the most important Western music composers. And he wrote this whole treatise where he talked about how you compose is connected to your racial bloodstock, right? That because he was a German, he would create German music that is like, and please note that Germany was a made-up thing. We did not have a Germany before like the 1870s. It's like a complete fiction. It's a fiction. That because he's German, he would create music in this way that is rooted to Germanness. Because his idea, the way he argued, was that you as a person are rooted to the land, right? So that you are the folk is really rooted to the land, and he is German because he has German ties, which means he's rooted to the land. And because of that rooting, it means that he's going to compose music in a different way than anybody else. And that way of composing is fundamentally connected to his Germanness. Further, he says, however, that there are German composers who are trying to compose in an Italian way or in a French way, and that is fundamentally unhealthy, that Germans should not be listening to French or Italian music because that music is not rooted in their land, and listening to it will cause Germany to degenerate. It's unhealthy, and that what you must do as a German is to create the most German of music. Further, he says that Jews can never make music because Jews do not have a land, and without having a land, they can never make real music that does anything healthy. He argued in his treatises that all Jewish people make basically unhealthy music that will destroy Germans, and that we have a duty as good Germans to never listen to German music and also basically get rid of Jewish composers. Hitler loved what Wagner had to say, and there's a reason why Hitler championed Wagner's music, because it fulfilled the ideology that of sort of racial purity, and also of these things being other and then not valuable. And here's the thing you have to know. Jewish people have been in Germany since the destruction of the Second Temple. There have been Jews in Germany for 2,000 plus years, and for a really long time. There have been Jews in Germany before there was a Germany. There have been Jews in Germany before various other people who consider themselves native German have been in the place that are now the German lands. But Jewish people have been made an other, even though there's no reason why they should be. There's no reason why they should be. They've been there for like thousands of years. But we create these others and we make them not part of us. We say they are not the mainstream, right? We say we have the center and we have the periphery, and we will decide who gets put on the periphery, and we say that those things are not center to our culture. And when we do that, we then justify violence against those people. If someone is not the center, the self, then they don't necessarily need the same rights as everyone else, and it's okay to spit at them or to beat them. And it was not long ago when Trump was speaking to NATO, and he was trying to talk about why it was okay for him to commit violence against other places. And what he said was, and this is really important, he said, we in the West are the best civilization in the world. We're the best civilization. We are morally and fundamentally better than everyone else because only we write symphonies. He used the symphonic tradition as evidence that the West, which is a social construct, and it's not actually even real, is morally and ethically superior to other countries to justify violence against those other countries. So the narrative of center and periphery is used politically, and art is used politically to harm people when you make distinctions of self and other, center, periphery that way, mainstream and marginal. Because the opposite of mainstream is marginal. And if somebody's marginal, then you can marginalize them. Then it's okay to say, no, you don't get to have these jobs. You don't get to, et cetera, et cetera. You don't really get to be an American. Do you know what I mean? Or a French person, or a German person, or whatever. And art has always been connected to this process. It's not coincidental that the great big pushes for this kind of thinking about art music happens in the 19th century, because Bach didn't think about himself this way. He wasn't even German, right? Because Germany didn't exist at that time. But the way that we're thinking about classical music was invented when Europe was colonizing other countries and forming themselves as the modern nation state. Music and also poetry was used specifically to create the fiction of a Germany or a France or a whatever, in order to also justify colonizing other people and stealing their children and forcing them to have a different religion than they had, killing them, enslaving them, taking their land, all that stuff. And art has always been connected to these kinds of politics. And we don't live in the 19th century anymore, but it's really important not to continue to internalize the ideology that is bound up in classical music. I'm not saying classical music itself is bad, but there's an ideology that is connected to classical music that is white supremacist, Eurocentric, classist. It's got all this stuff going on, and that ideology that developed in the 19th century is ideology that we still have today. And we have to be really careful, because that ideology is an ideology of harm. It harms people. It says that some people are, it goes right back to scientific racism, where they measured people's cranial skulls and told people that you have a smaller skull than other people, so therefore you're like fundamentally inferior, or you don't have a soul, or all that kind of stuff. And like, you don't have a soul is also bound up into classical music. This idea of like who has like the Geist, who has like the real like sense of feeling and soul, and who is really enlightened subject. And women don't get to be enlightened subjects, right? There's a reason why there are so few female composers that we know about, because people didn't think that women mattered. They're not the mainstream. Women aren't the mainstream. Working class people aren't the mainstream. People of color aren't the mainstream. Depending on your country, non-Christians or non-Protestants aren't the mainstream. Non-Catholics, depending on where you're at. And when they're not the mainstream, it justifies putting them in ghettos, pushing them aside, not hiring them, not allowing them in your schools. And we have to be really careful about an ideology that sets up a hierarchy where some people are fundamentally better than others, and then using objective measures like the greatness of music or whatever is just very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. We just have to really think about this. Krellin says, as a resident of Nueva Mastica, surrounded by people who trace their ancestors directly to Spaniards, and having one of the largest populations of people who are descended from indigenous peoples, the idea of America as European is pretty gross. So no dogpiling. I'm going to go on a limb and predict we are not finishing Monarchs. No, we only have like one or two left, I think. The situation always made me feel like I should be paying attention to Trooper. Tuition tips. Oh, tuition tips. Mm-hmm. Hitler also ripped North cultural symbols. He did. He just made, for his own purposes, right? Yeah. I thought about politics and music when I'm self-censoring, because I don't want to take the stream there. Wagner's is okay. His automated paint sprayers are amazing. Pretty convenient. He was born a German composer, and also Skabinak. He was saying this because there were composers who, like Meyerbeer, was a Jewish German composer who was more popular than he was, and it made him angry that Meyerbeer was more popular than he was, and so he had to make a theory that Meyerbeer's music is unhealthy to listen to. We started talking about what music can be timeless and good and great, and how would we rate the music. I'll use the phrase of 13 Colonies was to show this timeline, because American came from that, but it didn't, right? But the true birth of America came from when we had all 50 states. So when I say America, Americana, or American, I'm talking about every one of the 50 states, not just England. But our 50 states of American music did have classical ties. That some of it did, but not all of it did. Some of it had, there's a bunch of music that we listen to today. I mean, I could play it for you, that has no ties to classical music. For example, Scotch-Irish folk tunes, none. No connection to classical music, zero. And that's the thing, that there is some music that has ties to classical music, but not all of the music in the United States does at all. Didn't Mozart kind of toss a bomb into the traditional conformity to his music? He did, and he did it by mixing Italian and German and French styles. He was really big on mixing Italian and German styles, and that was like, ooh. Let's see. So I was listening to a historian the other day, and they actually outlined how Martin Luther's actually trickled down eventually to actually be used as part of the justification of nationalism in Germany. It was quite a domino effect, yeah. What is about Troopers saying is, no, are you saying that all music we listen to is African, or to say belong to Black Americans? Influenced. Most popular music, not all of it, there's like some polka music that is not, but most popular music in the United States has African influence. There are a couple of things that are not, but most of them do. Yeah. Lexi does not mean all, but the majority, yeah. Nationalism of cancer, yeah. Elvis came from it, rock came from it, a lot of modern music is a role of musicians, right or wrong, nabbing bits and pieces from, not whole styles from African roots, yeah. The music brought over by the early settlers were primarily Eurocentric religious tunes. Yes, they had Euroclassical past, but the music wasn't transposed to America. It was Black slaves and various immigrants that added to the American mythos and music, yeah. And actually, there's a thing that I can add that's really interesting. The point of America is melting pot. The point of music belongs to all of us, not just subcategories for people to separate into groups. Yes and no, Dark Raven. That's tricky. It's a tricky thing because what does that mean? What does that mean, right? Because it doesn't actually belong to all of us in certain ways. Like there's like certain practical purposes, right? If America were a melting pot for real, then our landscape would look different than it does. And so there are power differentials that mean that the melting doesn't happen all directions, and not everybody gets paid equally, and not everybody gets acknowledged equally, and not everybody gets access to the same things. Audi Snack is like, yeah, the notion of civilizing the savages, yeah. What theorist would you recommend, Ice Bunny, for what? We should remember where the melting pot came from. Roots are important as results. And also melting pot is tricky because it was never melting in all directions, right? Like it was never melting in all directions. Wait until you find out what genre an artist is considered has a lot to do with it. Yeah. Melting pot implies that everything just kind of flows together. When you have musical styles developed by enslaved and later segregated people, that's not true. As humans, we tend to want to shove people into pigeonholes with discrete labels, living us to us and them. But we also cannot ignore the fact that some people actually have more power than others. Like this really tricky sort of line. If saying the melting pot idea also shows that you can't point all music from down. How far over are you willing to run today, given even another stream? Probably a half hour, because I started a half hour late. No, I'm gonna finish this. Also of note, says Weird Styles, although not necessarily related to that, Irish people are subject to racist discrimination. They were not considered white in the 19th century. If I recall, there's a specific Irish-Iberian type of phrenology popular at the time. Nationally inferior. Oh yeah, they basically, there was like a whole sort of thing where they're like, Irish people are actually African, they're actually from Africa and they're not really white at all. There's like a whole, and they like measured noses, and there's a whole thing. And trad, Irish folk music is called traditional, trad for short, let's not get into why, is the root of country music and also black music together, because Irish people and black people live in the Appalachia together, so those two things are together. So like basically African music, country music is the mix of Appalachian, Scots, Irish, and black people hanging out together. I've got some really early music you'd find very interesting. Modern country music is awesome. Yeah. Wait, I did. I sang it. Oh no, oh my gosh. I didn't see that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Less than 3. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a massive donation, and that's going to go help pay the cast for City of Light and Shadows. Wow. I am going to sing you a song, and I'm going to sing because of the oh my gosh. Oh gosh, thank you. I appreciate that. Dark Ribbon says, because to a certain point it does. Like in school, what do they say or show as the time of music? They all start with classical. Yes, because of bias. But in this stream, we were trying to rewrite the history. No, that is a rewritten history and create a better music timelines. So in order to come to a conclusion, Trooper will need to bring us a whiteboard to detail the music history timeline. This is all better be spoken, not written, for the point that most of what I am saying is being lost in text. Yeah, totally. What I would say, Dark Raven, is that it is true that when you go to school, the music timeline they teach you is the timeline of classical music. I know that because I teach music history, and I know exactly what the textbooks say. I don't think I brought my. I hope I didn't bring. No, I did. Do you want to see it? Here you go. Here you go. It's right here. Here it is. A History of Western Music by the Grout-Paliska, now called the Grout-Paliska Burkholder, or the Burkholder. This is the core textbook that everybody who wants to learn their music history is going to learn. And this textbook, which is the entire history of Western music, if you look at what is in here and what is not in here, it tells you a lot. Spain is not in this book. The United States only comes in this book in the 20th century. There's one chapter on the that touches on the United States at all, and that is chapter 22, the last chapter. And it's like the last, like here you go, a little bit of 40 pages out of these 800 on the United States. None of the music that happened in the United States before the 20th century is at all discussed. Folk music is not discussed. Religious music that was not high art religious music is not discussed. Women, I think, did we have any women in here? We might have had Clara Schumann, maybe. Women are not discussed. It is mostly, for the most part, they spend one chapter on ancient Greece. They give you one little snippet and they move away from that and they go to chant, sort of religious basic Catholic chant, chapter 2, more Catholic chant, chapter 3, French and Italian music for the 14th century. You get one chapter on England and the Burgundian lands, which is a little bit tricky because it's then only partially England, but that's about mostly get. Then you get more Central European for the Renaissance, Franco-Flemish. Now we're going to get Italy. We get a little bit more Italy in 7. The Church Reformation, so again, Germany. Early Baroque period, Germany, Venice, more Catholic Church, Lutheran Church. Opera in the late 17th century, Italy, Germany. Intermittent period of the late Baroque, that's again Central Europe. Early 18th century, Vivaldi, Bach, Rameau, Italy, Germany, France. The Sonata, the Symphony, the Opera, that's chapter 13, which is the Enlightenment. Well, I need to read that so I can talk about that in my book. Again, Central Europe, late 18th century, Haydn, Mozart, Germany. Beethoven has an entire chapter. Beethoven, by the way, I'm going to just point out that chapter 2 is basically everything from ancient Greece to like 1400, like centuries, gets that one chapter. And a bunch of these chapters are like entire centuries. And then Beethoven gets an entire chapter all by himself, just Beethoven. And then we get the 19th century, Central Europe, solo chamber vocal music in the 19th century, which is mostly Germany and France. Opera and music drama in the 19th century, which is France, Italy, Germany. European music from the 1870s, World War I, we're in chapter 19, which is Germany. New traditions in France, Italian opera. Again, same 3 countries. 20th century, chapter 20, European mainstream in the 20th century, which is now basically looking at classical music still. But now chapter 20 out of 22, we are now going to talk about the Soviet Union a little bit. So we get a little bit of Russian music in chapter 20. We get a little bit of England in chapter 20, but still Germany, France, a little bit of Latin American classical music. That's it. Chapter 21 is now, and I'm going to just point out that out of the entire thing, we get 2 chapters, basically 2.5 chapters on the 20th century. 1 chapter is on basically atonality, serialism, and sort of later 20th century music, but I want to point out something. This is really important. This ends with Webern, which is basically the 1920s, right? So like their very contemporary 20th century stuff is like the 1920s. We're not getting much of any of the stuff that happened after that, even in the art music realm. And then we get the 20th century, which is like apparently America shows up. And this is a music history, and it is a music history that they tell you. And I'll see you, Courier. And the thing about but the point is that you were saying that the classical music is the mainstream and the basis of all of our music, Dark Raven, but it's not. It's not the basis of all our music. Like especially here in the United States, but even in Europe, it's not the basis of all. Like classical music is just not the basis of all of our music. It's not the root out of which all of music came from. Like it just isn't. Like I mean, that's the thing. It's just not the basis of all of the music that we have. Who is we? And like classical music is certainly a thing. It's taught as if it is, but that doesn't make it true. And that's the thing. And because it is not true, we have to resist those narratives, because those narratives are just not true. And it's important to note why it's taught this way. This book, History of Western Music, it's by Grout and Poliska, but it was originally by Donald Grout. Donald Grout was a German. I think it's basically important to note that the history of music, that as a discipline, music history as a discipline, musicology, was invented by Germans. And this is really important to note, that the people who first invented the field of music history, musicology, which was called Musikwissenschaft or music science, they were Germans. They invented the field, and they invented the field around the time that Germany was becoming a country. And they invented the field in order to help create Germany as a national identity. And they invented the field, they invented music history, and they decided what the history of music was. And weirdly enough, it turns out that German people were the most important people in music history. And they had the first universities where you could get a degree in music history. And so people went to those universities, and that's where they trained. Almost all the early music historians trained in Germany and were told by German professors that German music was the most important music. Now, France was pushing back. They tried hard. Italy did a little bit, but they didn't have the cultural power. But they got their story in there. So those three were being sort of important. And then all the earliest American musicologists all trained in Germany, all of them. There are a couple people who didn't, who were basically what we call Americanists, but they weren't taken very seriously. And then our education system transformed, our university system in the United States transformed radically after Hitler came to power in the 1930s. What ended up happening is that the United States didn't really have a huge, extensive university system necessarily before then, and how we dealt with some of these music was, how we dealt with music studies was a little bit like skimpy. And then once Hitler came to power, a bunch of German music scholars fled the country. They came to the United States, and they became the foundation of our music history. And what they taught us was what Grout teaches us, which is German music is the best music of all time, and that classical music is the best music of all time, and it's the most important music of all time. And a number of people internalize that story, but that story is an unhealthy story, and it's not true. And I think this is the last thing I would say, I am a working class person. I did not grow up in that world believing that classical music was better than all other music. I didn't even really listen to classical music. I listened to some, but I found out later when I went to school for music history that the classical music that I listened to was bad classical music and not considered good because it was too whatever. So like, I know that there is an entire industry built around the idea that people who like classical music are fundamentally better than everybody else, which would be like my entire family and friends. And I know that there's a way in which people like me usually never become music history professors. We're not usually included in the story, and so our stories are usually not included in these books. And people who become music history, first, you usually got to go to, like most of the people who teach music in high schools went to schools and learned from this book. Most people who become music history professors learn from this book, and they all believe this thing that is not true and that not everybody believes. There are a lot of specifically working class people who have not been taught this story and don't believe this story. Those people don't tend to go to university and become professors, though. But there are some people who are going to university and are becoming professors of music history or art history or dance history, all these other things, or history in general, or classics. And those people, and I'm one of those people, are like, hey, this book has got huge gaps in it, and it does not actually tell the story of like, what is this? Like, what is this? What do you mean we all know that Beethoven's better than everybody else? Who's we? What are you talking about? And there are a bunch of us who are trying to correct the record, who are trying to make our music history classes, I'm not going to use the word inclusive. I'm going to just say accurate, more reflective of actually what was happening. And I will even tell you this, that even within the realm of classical music, this has got so much inaccuracies in it. Do you know Meyerbeer was more popular than Beethoven? At the time in the 19th century, the most popular composers who were thought of the most genius did not tend to be the people that we think of as now. Meyerbeer, who was German Jewish, was huge. He did French grand opera. He was massive. But Wagner was an anti-Semite, and when he wrote those stories, he wrote Meyerbeer out. And the people who ended up writing the music history texts also wrote Meyerbeer out. They wrote out all of these people who were really important at the time, and they're not part of our history, and they were like classical music people, and we don't talk about them either because they did not fit the narrative, which was creating a national identity and sort of the increase of nationalism. And when this book, this narrative
watching me
is a narrative of nationalism that oppresses a whole bunch of people, and it's important to try to not internalize those logics. I mean, I like Vivaldi as much as the next person, but I don't think that Vivaldi is a genius and better than other things or the root of all music. And I just think that it becomes really important to know that while, yes, certain elite spaces teach a history that is very narrow and inaccurate in order to serve nationalist purposes, that doesn't mean that we need to it doesn't mean that actually people everybody listens to them. A lot of people don't listen to them at all, and they don't care about it. They're not paying attention to it. They've never been to a symphony. They don't know Beethoven. They do not care, and it's just not interesting to them. You know what I mean? And they make music, and they create stuff, and they create sounds that we all listen to, and it's not stuff that they'd never learned Western music theory. They learned theories from other kind of way or different kinds of theories. And so there are a lot, like we are operating in a space where there is an elite or people who aspire to the elite, mostly sort of upper middle class, who imagine a history, and they have this history, but they are very isolated. And I mean, I don't know if you know this, but like music, classical music represents 1% of music sales. Like that's it, just 1%. Most people are not here. They're not in this space. And a lot of people not only are not in this space, they don't know it and they don't care. And so the idea that this space, which is basically the space of the 1%, is going to be the mainstream or the center of our story is convenient for the 1%, but it's not reflective of what's happening on the ground. And so there are people, I'm one of those, trying to make these things more representative of the things that happened. I will, like when I teach the 19th century, which I have not taught in years because I'm not usually hired to teach 19th century classes, I teach other stuff. But like I talk about Meyerbeer. I will talk about Meyerbeer. I will talk about Spain. I will talk about women composers of the time period, like Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel and Alma Mahler and Clara Schumann. I will talk about music that is sort of music of the streets, what people who were like working class poor in London were listening to, which was not this. I will talk about folk opera, and I will talk about all these different things because these things were happening, and these things also influence the music that we listen to now. It's just that it wasn't convenient for nationalists to tell those stories. But I don't want to tell the stories of nationalists from the 19th century. Do you know what I mean? I want to tell a more accurate story. I want to tell the stories of people, of like those poor Irish folks who were struggling against English colonialism, of the Algerians who were in France in the 1800s. I want to tell the stories of people who've always been here and whose music has always been here and whose music we are still embodying today. And like, I want to tell those stories too, because it's not healthy for us as a society to believe these myths. These myths are damaging myths. And I don't want to propagate those myths, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Right. Because you're just one of yours, Leah. It's my fervent hope that Trooper doesn't have to pay for anything for this season of Colas in the end. I hope so too. That is my goal. My hope is that that Colas breaks even. That would be my hope. If you went to school in any other place, you'd be taught different. PH, that is really true. That is true. Yes, of course, seeing how we are literally having a debate. Yeah. And the thing is, I went to a school that gave me a different education than most people did, because the school I went to was kind of like complicated. That in bookshelf is all text and references. Yes, it is actually. We also teach that Columbus was the first person to set foot in America and was a hero for discovering completely unoccupied land, which was incorrect, but that got fixed later. Just because something is taught in school doesn't mean that it's accurate. That's true. So when I say write history, that book, Dark Raven, it's interesting. When so you may not know this, Dark Raven, but when people use the phrase "rewrite history," what they mean is that's usually a code word for lying. People say you shouldn't be because it's always the phrase is like you shouldn't rewrite history, right? Because the people who use the phrase, generally speaking, you probably don't mean it this way, but to let you know, that tends to be like a dog whistle for people who want you to not change things, or like. Because when they say rewrite history, they kind of mean that as that you're lying, that you're bringing in things that are not true in order to rewrite the real, like there's like a real history and people want to add in stuff like, oh, this is not like, so that rewrite history tends to be a bit of a phrase used to defend not changing things. It sounds like, true, the Vikings were the first, but they don't ever correct it. So I ask you, what is history? And why do we all insist that our children need to go to school? I think that's a good question. I actually think there are really important things you can learn in school. I think what we have to do is reform school. Because the thing is, Dark Raven, working class people have worked really hard to get to school, to be able to go to school for a really long time. And the denying people education has been a tool of oppression, saying that some people don't get to go to school, right? Like, and so being able to go to school to get certain skill sets about critical thinking and knowledge is important. I think we need to reform our school, and that is a process we've been going through to try to make school better. Yes. The Vikings were the first Europeans, says Snorpenbos, not the first people. Yes. Even the Vikings reported that people already lived there, yeah. Basic elementary school is designed to create people just smart enough to work manually without ruining the product. 20th Century America, Scott Joplin, Aaron Copland, Appalachian Spring, yeah. But we're having a tough time getting you to understand that Europe is not the world. I wasn't trying to talk about all music in the world. I was starting at the point of classical to now. Right, but classical is not the main term, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's just, if you look at record sales especially, it's not the mainstream. There's a fair amount of evidence that the Vikings were just following fishers that had been fishing the Americas for decades. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, one of the best books I've read was The Lies My Teacher. Oh, that's a really good book. The Lies My Teacher Told Me is a good book. Snorpenbos says, heck, a lot of the 19th century Europe composers were inspired by folk music that existed many centuries before classical music, and some mocked them for it because, of course, yes, right? They were biting folk music all day long. You know what I mean? Like that, like, yeah. There are tribes, yeah. Education is always trying to catch up to what we actually know. Oh, yeah. Math and science is pretty fixed, except for the experimental theoretical branches. Yeah, that's true. It's like if De Beer set up a field of study instead of got people to buy. And that also does happen. I mean, it does actually happen where sketchy people will like fund departments and this is actually one of the problems with defunding the schools. Like, there's a lot of defunding universities, like, oh, we don't need to like pay universities, and that's all terrible. And what ends up happening is that a lot of science departments end up having to get money from outside sources, like tobacco companies, those tobacco companies would then pressure those schools to say that tobacco's not that bad for you, right? So like, you know. So let's put this away, says Snorpenbos. Vikings tended not to sail where there weren't people, because like most seafaring adventures at the time, there's a combo of raiders, traders, and you can't trade with empty spaces or raid them. Yeah. And Dark Raven says, not try to fight the side of the book, but I was basing my statements, again, general upon the fact that it is basically the mainstream history that we are taught. And there's a single person who is saying the full truth. Yeah. Oh, I did listen to Holst. No. Krellin, yes. That was, Holst doesn't count. Holst is bad classical music. It's too popular. Yeah. So basically, we can recognize that people say that classical music is the basis of everything, while also acknowledging that that's actually just not true, right? That it's not true, that one. I also listen to, there are a couple of things I listen to that, like the Comuna Burana, that doesn't count as good classical music. Holst doesn't count as good classical music. Bunch of Chopin doesn't count as good classical, depending, like, doesn't count as, Furlies doesn't count as good classical music. The Bolero doesn't count as good. Like, there's like a bunch of stuff that like working class people listen to a little bit more, and this doesn't count. Yeah, everything that is based from history is malleable, since we're always still learning history. Yeah, history don't run the winners. Yeah. Sounds like a kind of meine Musik. Yeah. As long as you know that your initial statements were wrong, that classical music is not the base of all music, we're good. Yeah. Who didn't play RPGs in the 80s without playing Holst in the background? What about Scotland with Mars bars and yeah? And my earliest recollection was a Grieg. Yeah, Grieg also is not. Grieg doesn't. So Drake, Grieg is also not like on the up and up. They don't. let's see. Do they even mention Grieg? Grieg was very popular, and he was very big. Let's see. D, E, F, G. Grieg. There's a little bit of Grieg, not much. Like, just barely mentioned, but there's a little bit of Grieg in there, but not in a, you know, like always like on the side, is it like not actually important. Yeah. I just like specifying Western history. It is such a vague concept, especially if you go further back. There was such a cross culture. I think I like it. Wait. Cross influence that specifying Western history is kind of a fruitless effort. You need to either go broader or specify further, like French history or Italian. Yeah. And also, there was a great article that I was reading about how a lot of what we think was Western culture we got from the East, basically from the Ottoman Empire, because a lot of the text, like a lot of the Greek text, and Prax would know way more about this because Prax is all of Verdi and Rossini definitely doesn't count as good classical. Yeah, Verdi almost gets a pass, Prax, almost, because they're like, well, Verdi's close enough to German, but Rossini certainly doesn't get a pass. Rossini is considered not good classical music without a doubt. And actually a lot like Bellini, a lot of the Italian opera composers, the only one who kind of gets a pass is Verdi. All the rest of them are considered like not really good classical music, and it's bogus. But there's this really great article about, and Prax would know more about this than I would, about the ways in which a lot of the core texts that form the foundation of Western culture we got from the Eastern Holy Roman Empire, like that, because basically a lot of those texts were lost in the West, and so we got them from, you know, Muslim scholars and scholars from over there, and so actually, because they were reading them, and also we don't really tend to think of Greece as the West right now because it's a little, you know, like, so like it's a very malleable concept. And also, this is also clearly not even all of Western Europe in this book. It's madness. The Vikings didn't really make friends in Newfoundland. They insulted them and got chased off, according to their own stories. They made better friends in Constantinople and what is today Russia. Heck, the Vikings went to Russia, or why it's called Russia. Oh, that's so interesting. Four Seasons, also not good classical music. Pachelbel's Canon, also not good classical music. There's like a bunch of stuff that like people are so weird about. There wouldn't be a point to have counterparts, so I was just going to sort of poke the bear and leave. I know, but I want to hear the conversation. I think it's interesting. I'm glad that you're talking. Dark Raven, I'm glad that you do, because like that lets us have conversations. I think it's important. You know what I mean? Like I that's what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for. I'm here to have these conversations, right? Isn't that famous wedding march a pretty horrible piece in context? Yeah. Yes. Trooper, says Dark Raven, since the argument is what is the source or the origin, then the question becomes, where do you start? The birth of humanity. Well, yeah, and Kuldrick is correct. I love this stuff. This is like what I live for. Yeah, and this is actually really interesting, right? Because I think that that is like a philosophical question, and I think the philosophical question is important to think about. Do you know what I mean? Like I think, well, what is the source? And to be more fair, what are the sources, right? And to think about the ways in which what music is also different, right? Prax says translations and manuscripts kept by either Islamic scholars or monastic traditions. Yeah, right. I mean, like we wouldn't have that, and those things actually even came to us a little bit later. There's like there's a big like classical renaissance, and so like we actually started inventing the idea of Western culture. It's not as new as nationalism, but it's not that new of it's a kind of a new concept, right? It's something that we invented a little bit later, right? Like it's not like people were in ancient Rome. They were not running around being like, we are Western culture. That is not what they said. That's not how, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, cause that didn't make any sense. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna leave with Sandra. I'm doing it. I've got 2 chats up right now. The source is not just Europe. Yeah. And also Europe is a more complicated, and Europe is not just classical music. Like it's like the source is not just Europe, but also Europe is not just classical music. Europe is also the music of poor Roma people and of Scandinavian farmers. And you know what I mean? Like Europe itself is actually way more diverse than this book gives it credit for. Like this book only talks about folk music, only to say that like real composers use it for good stuff, like, but never talks about the folk. Like you're like, what is that about? Yeah, it's supposed to be a funeral march. Yeah. When I say rewrite history, I'm talking about the book you have in hand. Yeah, but just know that when people use the word rewrite history, they tend to mean that in a negative way. They tend to mean it they tend to mean like this is real history, and then any attempt to try to actually include other people is rewriting, and they mean that in a negative way. Just like this, just know that that's the politics of that conversation, generally speaking. Yes. The only time classical music is fun. Look, I actually don't mind classical music. I think classical music is fine. I enjoy it. I just don't like people saying that makes you a better human being, you know? Public schools teach half-truths. Oh, yeah. And people come out of school, read that book, and say there's no... Oh, yeah, totally. 100%. 100%. 100%. Yes. Yes. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Okay. It sounds like anything that's too popular can't be good. Yeah, that's right. People don't. Again, what is good and bad classical? Right. That's my entire point. Right. Because originally you had said that vocals talent were objective. Like way back in the beginning, you had said that like vocals talent was objective, and like my whole point is that that these things are not objective. Right. That's the whole beginning of the conversations that you wanted to make. You wanted to say that like what is like that this is objective, and I was like, I just don't think it is. Yes, okay. You're good with details, but could use someone who see the big picture. Yes.
You too?
No.
He has a point, sir. And it's not all bad.
Oh, I totally appreciate you, Dark Raven.
You're right.
I totally appreciate you.
Exactly would you have me work with? The iconoclasts are not the most compromising sorts.
Zora leads the iconoclast now. What about her?
That's an interesting suggestion.
Hmm.
I confess I don't know much about her except that she worked for Rizzo.
Doing it. I'm doing it.
There ain't a body on this planet.
I'm caught up in
that can keep
chat,
a group patched
by the
up
way.
like she has. I don't know how she does it.
I'd be willing to consider it, but I need to see her review first.
Oh yeah, no, here, I already found it in a terminal in Cascadia. Here it is.
Very well. I can't promise anything, but let's see what we have here. Well, it seems like she's actually very qualified.
Mm-hmm.
If it weren't for her, I'd wager the iconoclast would have died off a while ago.
All right. I'll have Celia organize a meeting in neutral territory, the old OSI church in the ruins. Meet us there?
Okay.
We'll discuss terms.
Okay, I can do that. Again, look, we just finished a quest, everybody. See, productive. Oh, and don't think I forgot. I'm gonna be singing. I'm singing and We're in the Money. You know that's gonna happen. I just want you to know it's gonna happen. Go to weapons, that's Scylla. This is more Scylla. This is spaceship. This is Overseer Church. Okay, that one. Let's do that. This is Edgewater, and this is Scylla. So I think this is our last quest, maybe. By the way, I think this is our last quest, and I don't even think I need to fast travel to get there. I'm just gonna point that out, everybody. Someone compared the setting of OW to East India Company. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. It is very much. It is very much. This is I was saying that in order to have an objective debate of saying what is good would be to say how you would rate it, like vocals and but of course the thing is they did that, but of course it's not objective, right? And I think about this with vocals is such a good one. I'm playing on Supernova, so I can only fast travel. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So like I think about people who will say objectively, opera singers are the best singers. Like they're the most talented singers. They have objectively the best vocals because they can, and they'll list some stuff out. But like, I'm sad now. Like every quiz where I like Coldrake, you should just take that as a badge of honor. You should take it as a badge of honor. I found out myself that all the stuff that I liked that was within the realm of classical music didn't count as. And I found that out when I was in music history class and people were being snobbish, and I was like, you know what, whatever. Like I was just like, I can't, like I don't, like I'm not going to internalize your business. You know what I mean? Objectively, opera singers are the best singers of opera. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like there. Although I will say, if you've not heard Aretha Franklin's version of Nessun Dorma, I thought that was brilliant. I enjoyed that very much. The joy of my Saturday, and it reminds me of hanging out with my BFF and her place and playing games. Yeah. Imagine snobs in a music history class. You know, I gotta tell you, Dark Raven, I'm gonna tell you this. You have no idea how much work I do to try to change that. Now that I'm actually teaching the music history class, I work really hard to try to change that. And it is hard to do that. It's hard work. It's harder work than you would know. Because, fun fact, Lisa Gerard is opera trained, but also learned stuff like Bulgarian singing by listening to the immigrants. And like Bulgarian singing, like an opera singer is not better than a Bulgarian women's choir singer. Like, I don't even know what we're going to do there. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Oh, hello. I'm not pointing guns at you. That's rude. That's rude. I'm grabbing dinner, so I must ask, what are you having for dinner tonight? Oh, I am eating. I'm going to eat before, hey, Tomika, 8 p.m. over on Prax's channel. We've got we've got the season premiere of The Regiment.
I wish I'd had more time to prepare a proper analysis on the costs and benefits of your proposed union, but I suppose we'll have to improvise.
Gregorian chant is objectively the best. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, Gregorian chant is objectively the best music because it doesn't use thirds. Thirds are so ugly. I mean, that's the thing. Chant did not use thirds or sixths, which is like now standard for us, because they thought it sounded really harsh and ugly and was discordant and was gross. And if they listened to our music today, they'd be like, what is this trash? This music is bad. Like, this is objectively bad music. And I can point to why, because it uses thirds and sixths, as well as like all sorts of other things we use now, because now we use more than thirds and sixths. We use sevenths and like the devil's tone, the tritone. We do all sorts like, I'm just, oh no, Prax, no, Prax, no, Prax, wait, no, Prax, we need to make you a regular. Oh, Prax, you must be a regular. No, Prax, wait, reg, add reg, add, is it reg add or it's reg add, right? Reg add. Wait. Oh, thanks, Rissa. Thank you. Post the links away, Prax. Post them. I wish I had more time to prepare. I'll just say, that's the spirit.
Gotta admit, I really thought I was walking into
Thank you,
a
Prax.
trap here. I'm ready. If it were, I wouldn't be standing here all vulnerable like. Sanja, Stellar Bay's got food and walls, and my people need both. If you'll have us, we're willing to share the space.
Do you have any idea what that would cost? Why, drawing up the budget alone is going to take weeks.
What if the Iconoclast just supported your supply lines?
Not good enough. I need to move a fair amount of my people into the city. We need shelter, Captain.
I'm not saying live outside, just help out in the wilderness once in a while, like we, do patrols.
Suppose some of our healthier folk could offer aid.
Right?
Some of us need to stay in the city proper.
Of course, without a doubt.
Well, I'll be damned.
Of course.
If you two can work together, maybe there's some hope for this place after all.
Truly a compromise?
Yes.
I'm not sure I'd ever have heard as much from Graham.
Graham was a murderous fiend, and I'd be shocked if you didn't already know that.
Yes, Norman Bass Strauss is also considered, like, especially, depends on which Strauss you're talking about, but yeah, Strauss is also not considered good classical music by classical music snobs. Like, still. I know the Strauss brothers were considered trash. They were, which is hilarious since people nowadays consider them the height of class. Except for classical music snobs still don't think of them as classy. It's because basically what has happened is that you've got the classical music snobs who are basically saying all of you general populace, like you general people, think you know what classical music is, but you only like trash, so you're still not as good as us. So messed up. Ooh, retweeted. Yes. I'm going to say something tells me. I don't think Sandra would have hurt anyone if he knew he didn't agree to it.
Void take his agreement. He stood by and let it happen.
No.
This feels like one of those times when everyone at headquarters but me is laughing at something, but you two aren't laughing.
Yeah.
Amber Heights, you haulhead. 10 years ago, Graham had all those people killed.
Yeah.
What? That's
Yeah.
not possible. Even for him, that's going too far.
And Baragar, when you say make Gregorian chant popular again, but you remember when it happened, right? It was the 90s, right? With you know, what was the name of that? Enigma, right? Enigma, remember Enigma? They just sort of took Gregorian chant. Yeah, Gregorian chant was basically turned into like basically kind of new agey dance music. The 90s was a strange time. Thank you, Serpent Bass. That is a true statement. You remember, like, yeah, heavy metal bands too. Yeah, yeah. People know it. What's the name of the song? It was Enigma. Hold on. Enigma. No, it wasn't Return to Innocence. That wasn't. It was Sadness Part 1. I think it was Sadness Part 1. Hey everybody, we're gonna have this part of the stream. Give me a second, people. Give me a second. We're coming back to this. Don't think that we're not, because we are. I'm just gonna tell you we're gonna come back to this. Yes. Yes. It is. We found correspondence between him and the pirates.
But that means I had no idea.
It was spelled sadness with an E.
Fed up with corporate leadership.
Mhm.
I never guessed he'd do something like that.
Storm Bass, you're
I buy
correct.
it. Sanjar ain't capable of hurting a sprat, even from a distance.
You can't take bureaucrats at their word. You back someone into a corner like this, and they'll say anything to get out of it.
Take it back a notch, Sora. You're here for your people, not the past. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
It'll take me a while.
This part of this seems to be just for us.
You know, I felt the same way years ago when he first left. There was something magnetic about him that let you
We'll rock
ignore
them.
the things you didn't want to see. But surely you know what that's like.
Yeah, I do. Okay. If you're willing to house and supply some of us, I'll have our more capable soldiers help out.
By the way, I believe they did not pay those monks for their work. So this is like part of the whole thing about appropriation. I believe, like Enigma, I think they did that with a couple of people, that they sort of like got these recordings from the 50s or whatever, and they just like used them, but they didn't pay the people. They're just like, I'm going to take your stuff and then not pay you at all. So you're like, yeah. So glad to hear it. I'm hopeful about this alliance.
As am I. Oh, I can feel my blood pressure lowering already.
Thanks for coming out, Sanjar. Guess I'll see you at Stellar Bay.
Gotta be honest, Captain. Never thought I'd see the day. You've done a good thing for Monarch here.
Can we talk?
Yes, we can. What do you want to talk about? Hey, Ellie, how are you doing? And it's like that whole thing where you don't have to pay people for folk music because folk music belongs to no one. And I was like, this is actually on an album. It's like an LP. I have to get the HR thing. Hi, Ellie. What's up?
Things on Monarch have really cooled off.
They have.
I didn't think MSI and the Iconoclast would ever talk.
They did. They did. Super
Outside
best.
shouting four-letter words, I mean.
They did publish their own music because they were like, we could make money for a monastery. I'll just say it's not too late for them to go back. No. It just goes to show there's always... I don't know if I believe that. Okay, so here's the problem. My character has shot enough people that I don't think that my character would say just goes to show you there's always a peaceful solution, because like clearly my character has killed a lot of people, so clearly it is not. And also sometimes they're just shooting at you, so I just feel like my character wouldn't say that. But it's not too late for them to go back to their old ways. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that implies. Is that like a positive or a negative statement? What does that statement mean? Like, I feel like I want to say that, but I'm afraid it might mean something I don't think my character would say. I'm gonna say it.
That's the option I'd bet on. Sure, maybe they'll have a good cry first. Look through old photographs over a pint of premium
This is
double
too
chocolate
dark.
cacao gelato. But sooner or later, things will go back to the way they were. People don't change. Not really.
This is really hard, people. This is really hard because I'm not getting options that I think my character would say. top is positive, bottom is negative. I linked the peaceful option, shooting a whole bunch of people. Right, so like, okay, so the thing that I want to say is you got to try looking for the good in people, but I don't think my character would say that. I think I'm just going to say that was a very specific image, which sort of, sidetracks.
Well, who hasn't been there? Anyway, I just wanted to make sure you weren't too invested in this thing between them lasting.
Nice to know you care.
Hey, let's not make this out to be more than it is. Anything else?
No, let's head back to the ship for now.
Okay, see you around.
Although, oh, she left the party. Oh.
I bet you'll like Rebecca. What's up?
Well, let's never mind. Let's go. I think we're going back to our ship. I think we're done with all of Monarch. Also, apparently I'm encumbered, which I know is shocking to you all. That's not the right button. Here. That's not the right button. Let's just save our data. Yes. I was next door to the University of Texas at Austin when Chant hit the airwaves. Oh, 94, yeah. It was so popular, it was played a lot. Heck, some of the fun spin-offs came out, like singing the Beatles tunes, and Chant went, yeah. I didn't mean to send her back to this ship. I didn't mean to. I know, I'm encumbered. Let's go back to our ship, shall we? Because I think we can just leave the planet, right? We can just leave. Yeah, we're gonna go to our ship. We can go to a place. Just whoosh. Will the depravity ever cease? Monarch Solar Industries reveal their true colors. MSI join forces with iconoclast radicals. But whatever, Halcyon Observer. Who are you? Don't talk to me. They both look really great, though. No, aren't. I'm encumbered. What else is new? I know. I'm gonna find a place to sell stuff. I'm gonna sell some stuff. It'll be fine. I probably got a bunch of like mantipillar shells that weigh like 20 pounds a piece. Like, why is it always in these games that like you can get a gun and the gun weighs like 3 pounds, a big rifle and your armor, and then like you get like, if it's like the Elder Scrolls game, it's like a piece of meat and that meat's like 20 pounds. Like, why is that always the case? Why is meat always 20 pounds? I don't understand. Like, I just want to like have potatoes. I have open slots. Junk doesn't weigh that much, but like some of the weird meat stuff weighs a lot. Oh, mods are heavy? I am carrying a lot of mods. That's true, I am carrying a lot of mods. Because I don't pay enough attention to them. So, yeah, I should. Well, but like one potato doesn't weigh 10 pounds. Although I don't think in Elder Scrolls potatoes weigh that much, but like there are things that do. And sell for lots, but I should use them. I'm going to use the mods first and then I'll do it. Yeah, they're like 1 weight a piece. It's wheels of cheese in the Elder Scrolls games always weigh like a gazillion dollars. Always they weigh a gazillion dollars. Hey, Evie. Hey, all. Just so I got here because composting is harder than I thought. Well, you missed an entire huge long discussion about Eurocentrism, and I'm going to put my gun down because I feel like it's rude. I'm going to give a quick look-see to see how everybody's doing, because I haven't seen Parvati in a while. I usually hang out with her.
Hey, Captain?
Yes?
I got a thing I want to ask you.
Yeah?
It's kind of big.
Of course, Parvati, you're my bud. But I'm just saying, huge wheel, like, and what am I doing with like 14 wheels of cheese in Elder Scrolls games anyway? I need them for alchemy, of course, clearly, but like, why? How am I, my stealthy, sneaky person? What am I doing with 10 wheels of cheese? Why does no one notice this? This is what I don't understand. Snorping Bass says, I remember some guy online had a site where he corrected actual medieval weaponry and armor weights. Turns out it was much lighter than in D&D. That's true, actually. I play GURPS, and like the GURPS message boards are full of people being like, nope, those swords are too heavy. People are into that. How much does a ton of potatoes weigh compared to a ton of feathers? It depends on, I'm going to see you. If we're talking about medieval music in the 90s, Sequentia singing Hildegard from Bingen's Oh, Jerusalem. And oh, yeah. Hildegard had that whole thing, their whole Hildegard album. Yes. Because you killed a mammoth and mammoths have a lot of meat in their bones. That's fair. Dark Raven says, on my difficulty, I have to eat every few hours, sleep every few hours, and drink every... Really? Really, Dark Raven? Well, that's interesting. Well, this is my first playthrough. Once I finish it, I'm gonna see let's see what that's like. That's That's interesting. Ooh, Dark Raven. That's kind of exciting. Things don't weigh dollars to Brown Swear. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Evie, Happy New Year. That woman cock, you're just happy to see me. All that cheese is for Nord fondues. Yeah. Why am I carrying two 75-pound? I don't even know. We do have a discussion of Schadenfreude and COVID-19. We did not, although that was in my brain. We instead were talking about, we had a whole, because I brought out my super sketchy History of Western Music textbook, which, by the way, I will be citing in my little mini book about how gross music history is. Yeah, sure. What do you need?
I was thinking about what you said before.
Yeah?
After we went to the Lost Hope on the Groundbreaker.
Drummer Boy, you own that book? Sketchy book.
You're right.
Hey, Drummer Boy.
I think I'm ready to stop fretting and fussing and ask Junlei to go steady, straight out. And I'm thinking of doing it here, on the ship.
Really? Huh. I'm not gonna... Here's the thing. I think that my character's initial thought would be to tease her a little bit and say, bring her home to be the family hub, bold move. But I also know that she's super sensitive, and I feel like she'd get all nervous because you know how she is. So I think my character would also know that that would like probably mess her up, so I won't say it.
I was kind of hoping you'd offer. The thing is...
Yes, we do, I expect. We use the word Schadenfreude to mean the same thing.
Like this? I mean, look at me. I'm all covered in engine grease, and I ain't showered in nigh on a week. Smell like sweat most days, and, well, don't look too close at my fingernails. I was thinking, hoping, we could stop by Groundbreaker for bath supplies.
Sure, of course. This should be your thesis. Dark Raven, it's my thesis was actually about, Rachel Maddow newscaster used it today, so it's all over the net. What? Oh, Schadenfreude? Oh, yeah. Snorpenbus says, my art history textbook was about twice that size and had entire multiple chapters on non-European art. Still a bit weirded out by that. Was so used to having to look stuff from the library. That's pretty amazing. There was, I just thought of, Dark Ribbon, you said something and I thought something, I was going to tell you something and then I forgot what it was, but I just remembered. I could forgot in a second. My thesis was actually on the song Falling in Love Again. Ich bin von Kopf bis Fuß auf Liebe eingestellt, from 1932, and it was the song made famous by Marlene Dietrich, and it was about 1932. That song, I looked at different versions of the song, and it was about the transition from Weimar to Nazi Germany, and the ways in which that particular song made by Friedrich Hollander, the composer, was meant to be this kind of like youth culture, jazz, and the way in which it challenged gender norms, much like crooners, which I never got to, but I'll get there sometime. Like the ways which was like challenging like what it meant to be a man or a woman in a way that was like trying to push back against nationalism, and like it's this, it's a whole thing. But the ways in which 1932 was maybe not the best time for a song like that in Germany, and like the ways in which people did covers of it and how they made those covers more progressive or less progressive. They leaned into like there's a bunch of stuff. So basically my thesis work was all about the transition from Weimar to Nazi Germany, how a culture that is democratic becomes fascist, and how media is either resists or contributes to that. But I'm writing a book on this topic about Western European centrism, and how that basically. But it's about the book that I'm writing is about. The little book, I'm writing two books, but the little book I'm writing about the Western music, the classical snobbery, is actually about my field today. And it's about, because right now a bunch of really racist and gross and anti-Semitic and super gross things have happened in my field recently, like in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, like things that really should not have been happening, things that you should know better about. And people have said and done really, really gross things. And people are like, I don't understand why is this happening? I was like, it's happening because you still think Beethoven makes you a better person, right? I mean, people defended a Nazi war criminal on my message board 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, no. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? I was a grad student and I was reading people defend this Nazi war criminal on a professional message board. And I was like, what is happening in my world? What is happening? Why is this happening? What is going on? Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. Well, most professors don't act like they have a doctorate. It's most professors don't act like, yeah, I mean, you know. Yeah. She did, well, because that was actually part of the style. There was like a huge style at the time for like women. It's called the d'Souza. It's like a whole style, like the teens, 20s, and 30s for women to sing this really low register was like cool and hip. It's like sexy. Groundbreakers got a lot of vendors. What are you thinking?
Oh, that nice older lady in the rest and go, Miss Gladys? She seemed to know lots of things. Maybe she knows where to find fancy soap.
Easy enough. You know what? I'm not going to push back on this. We can head straight on over.
Only if you're not busy.
No, it's fine.
Or when you're heading through Groundbreaker
No,
or something else.
It's fine.
You don't gotta change plans on account of me.
It's fine.
Anyhow, next time we dock in Groundbreaker, let me know.
Sure.
Because I want to come with.
Okay, I will take you with me onto the Groundbreaker. No worries, because we're pals and also buddies. That's it. I still like women who sing. Yeah, and it's just, you know, because it's a certain kind of a rebellion in certain moments. This looks a little overheating in a way that makes me a little nervous, but it's fine. Also, there's my thing. I was gonna say something. Nope, I don't want guns. I just want to climb up this ladder. That's all. No guns. Oh yeah, the Nazi war criminal. Right, yeah. So, remember how it reminds me of our new cantor for the high holidays. Dude was we're an Ashkenazi congregation, mostly Polish. Don't be bringing your weird tunes and prayers. Oh, you know, after the last time I was here, I got into this whole rabbit hole of EDM and vocalists and stuff. It is, right? It is. So seriously, right? There was this musicologist called Egebrecht, and I'm not pulling a gun on you. I'm just whatever. Talk to Nyoka because Nyoka's my buddy. Hey Nyoka, do you want to talk to me? You don't want to talk to me apparently. Nobody wants to talk to me. Everyone's like running away from me. I just want to talk to people. That's all. I just want to see how everyone's doing, check in on them. You know what I mean? Be like, hey, all right. Hey, Vicar Max, how are you doing?
I could spend hours reflecting on the secret workings of the universe. Little else in this colony offers such a relaxing pastime. So, tell me what's on your mind.
No, that's it.
Excel at confessional listening.
Yeah, no, we're fine. You don't have anything to say to me. We're good. I'm just walking around, seeing all the people, seeing how they're feeling, you know, just what's going on. And then I'm gonna... Where's my robot? Like, I have a robot. What is? Hey.
Something on your mind?
Nope. Apparently not. I'm gonna just finish the go-round. Don't walk away from me. Shoot in the butt. Oh, and I also have like I should check the secret working of the universe. True reason for 20-pound cheese. Right, so this guy... Do I have any messages? It doesn't look like I do, huh? Nope. Well then, huh. Hey, what? Antibiotics secret. Hey, I'm taking trophies. I've added all sorts of stuff to my spot. I didn't know this. Oh. Now that Zora's in charge, it counts have a fighting chance of surviving and spreading from Monarch. Oh, hey. Oh, this is new. Do me proud, and I shall shower you in Borscht and gold. Cross me now, will serve your head in a silver platter with mushroom gravy. Signed by Borscht King of Monarch himself. Ooh. The old is good. Let's stick with the same tunes. Makes sense, but because old people, but I don't know. On the other hand, it's cool hearing Sparta tunes for person. Yeah, it is, right? I mean, Cursive Anti-Clue's abandoned lab in Roseway. Hey, I didn't know that I had cool stuff like this in my ship. Like, I'm really excited about this. Sanjar donated these after you helped him aside. Like, I didn't have cool stuff in here before, and now I have cool stuff, and I feel very excited about the cool stuff. So, like the spores of the puffball, cast in the wind and aligning on the fresh soil, we put dawn in new roots, and these are the days of our lives. Thank you, Atomica. I didn't even realize I had them. Thanks.
Hey, boss,
Hey, Felix.
I want to talk to you.
Sure. What's up? Nope, I did not mean to put a gun at you. I just wanted to chat. Hey, how are you? No guns.
I can't believe I wanted to shake his hand. I need a shower. It makes you wonder if being a treacherous, two-timing coward is some sort of contagious disease, or if he was just born that way.
Is this about Graham Bryant?
At first, I liked what Graham was doing. The Iconoclasts were going to change Halcyon for the better. But then, we found out Graham was behind the slaughter of Amber Heights. How can anybody so morally bankrupt lead a movement to transform the colony?
Wow, okay. Neon trophies. That'll be nice when you need to sleep at night. That's fair. That's fair. Cheese for everybody, says Anhamika. No, wait. No, cheese for no one. This will be a reward to some people. Yeah, I just hadn't been in my room. So your friends all have sort of cool things in their room. So also, yeah, but I don't want to take their stuff, right? And now, playing the role of Sylvie, that would make me, Vulpes, that would make me go nuts. Musical instruments are culturally verboten since the fall of the Second Temple. Mm-hmm. How's the captain? That can be a little aggressive. They're telling me once you get over the gun. So look, we're playing somebody who's like basically, pretty decent-ish, but a hacker, kind of not about the man, but also like not a murderer, more like a thief than a murderer. Our character's a bit of like a, bit of a thief, like a vandal. Do you know what I mean? Like our character would like spray paint things and like kick over trash cans and be like, I hate the man, but we're like not running around slaughtering people wholesale. So don't go looking for role models, Felix. You're just asking me to lie to. I don't feel like my character would say that, because I bet my character's some kind of punk rocker who was a role model. He was sorry for what he did. I don't think that like organizing a murder, I don't think my character would say that. He's dead now, so it doesn't matter. Graham's a piece of trash. I think I probably would just say he's dead. Yeah, rebel without a cause is really, really, my character's a rebel without a cause. Like it's totally, that's exact. Yeah, Dark Raven, you got my character. My character's a rebel without a cause. Yeah, steals everything until he gets bored of stealing things. He steals everything. He's gonna say he's dead now, it doesn't matter.
Maybe you're right. I can't stop thinking about what he did. About all those people in Amber Heights. You'd never do something like that, would you?
Oh.
Slaughter a whole community of innocents?
Not personal, not on purpose. Hey, young at heart. Trooper, since you're interested in that specific period of history, I can recommend the series To So Few, written by Captain Parlier. It's about a fictional American pilot flying the Battle of Britain for the RAF. The historical background is spot on. Ooh. I'm going to just right now, because I will forget it, so I'm just going to make a tab. I'm going to make a tab, because this is how if people want, like, I always have like 80,000 tabs up, and people wonder why I have 80,000 tabs up. It's because this way I don't forget things. To So Few, Cap Parlier. Wait, Crown, are you going? Oh, just moving? That's fine. I'm gonna, don't forget to eat and get ready for my offline resub sometime. Okay, and then I'll sing it for you. By the way, I still have a song to sing. I have not forgotten. Thank you. To So Few. Oops, come back here. To So Few. Oh, wait, there are a bunch of different ones. The Trial, The Verdict. Oh, Deflection, Explosion. Oh, I'll have to go and look on Wikipedia which one's the first one. That's what I'll have to do. 3-minute warning. 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening. See you, Krellin. I'm gonna say never.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if that's actually true about my character.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
I need to put all this ugly business with Graham behind me.
Sure. I think my character would say that they would never do it, but I don't actually know if that's true. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think my character would on purpose do it knowing they were doing it, but I think my character might make choices that would lead to a lot of people dying.
Some culprit who shall not be named spelled Rizzo's lemon slap on my console.
Ooh. There's a novel based on the real-world Polish pilots who flew for Britain against the Germans, some of which were former Polish Air Force. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, I basically pretty much already did in Edgewater, yeah.
2.5 years.
Nope. Keep going. Yeah, so like, but I mean, I hope that people in Edgewater end up being okay. But, yeah.
Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance?
I think we're done with that.
Take care.
You're welcome.
I require a functioning captain to run the ship.
I will do. I do the tab thing too. I also have closed the Chrome window with all my tabs so many times that it never gets less. Drummer boy. Yes, I have two. I use Safari and Firefox, and Firefox is what I use when I'm like streaming, because when you close down Firefox, it doesn't save tabs. So when I use Firefox, I'm not encouraged to open up a lot of tabs. If I open up my Safari with all the tabs, it like takes up almost all of my RAM, and I have a lot of RAM. Like I'm like so close to being RAM full because of that, and I need to like close some of those tabs. But like this, like with Safari, I just have like no tabs open. But then the problem is that I'm like, oh, I'm up and I'm like, I just finished City of Light and Shadow, and I start doing a little bit of research, and then I've got like 15 tabs up all of a sudden, all about like the French Resistance. And then if I accidentally close Firefox, I am devastated. It is terrible. A question of honor. Oh. Huh. Mods should put things in emote only mode to stop squirreling. Okay, but look, this is what's up. We're gonna go to the Groundbreaker, right? Like this is our, we're gonna just go to the Groundbreaker, and we have officially finished Monarch, right? This is, right? That's good. We just go to Groundbreaker, and we have moved to a new planet. Well, it's not a planet. You know what I mean. Thanks. Like boom, just like that. Groundbreaker, right? This is perfect. And we're gonna walk outside. We're not gonna do anything because we're done, but we're gonna walk outside because I want to take the right crew. I want to take Parvati and Felix, because Felix is from the Groundbreaker. So I thought he might want to come back home there, right? So we do that, we continue, and then we walk outside and we switch over to the other thing. That's it. Oh, maybe they will. I don't know. The eternal vein of academics anywhere, all the fun stuff to learn. It is so true. It is so difficult, my life. Oh yeah, I should save. You're right. I should. But there are two things we do have to do before we go. I'm going to save, and then there are two things we have to do. Three things. Song, blue. Song, blue. Song, prax is what it is. Oh, you're welcome, Atomica. But look, I'm going to sing. So like, don't even let me, why are you so slow? Well, while it's slow, I'm going to sing for that amazing donation from Less Than 3. Oh, well, now I'm going to save. Here we go. Save. No. Back. Save. Save. All right. Now we're going here. Main menu. All right, so, and I accept that. It's fine. We're going to the main menu. It's excellent. All right, good. Okay. And some Neil Diamond. All right, so first off, I really want to thank whoever less than 3. I want to thank you for that donation. I really appreciate it. It will help me make sure, because like, here's the thing. I'm on a research leave, which means I took like a 30% pay cut.
Somebody's watching me.
Oh! I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Snorpin' Bass, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. So exciting. So I'm gonna sing, and here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna sing this song as a thank you, and I'm really excited about. I'm really hoping that this season. City of Light and Shadows will break even. That's really good. And because I didn't actually get to have the conversation, but I'm going to do it so that maybe I can you can remind me later. I'm going to sing the first half of We're in the Money in the early crooning style, and then I'm going to sing the second half of We're in the Money in the later crooning style. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do early and later crooning style halfway through, just so that you can know what's going on, and then we can talk about it. Right? Here we go. Early crooning style, then later crooning style, as a thank you. And I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin. Here I am, hey, the army man. Erwin hey the anime. Iwe akele atwe weeks to take young way. Erwin, wait, I cannot sing this with the I mean I can, but I don't want to sing with the outer worlds up in my face. There. Now I'm gonna sing it. No, you're still in my face. I don't want you in my face. Do not be in my face. Give me a second. I'm gonna sing it. Ooh, I wonder if I'm gonna play Overcooked with Fox. I need to ask her about that. Because maybe we're... Anyway, enter rest mode. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Erwin hey the anime. Erwin hey the anime. Iwe atwe it wakes you take long way. Erwin hey the anime. The ice skates are on his say. Oh man, did you pray we are you stay on the young rail. You ever need red lines way of wet bronze lay day. And when we see the end, the Lord will look let the IA in the IA. Where in the money? Where in the money? We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Early versus late crooner. Right there for you. Get the song, and I get both styles that I can talk to you about, which we'll talk about later in another moment. But that's the early between the early. That's like the difference between the early and the late crooner, and we can talk about it more. It's pretty awesome. That's the first thing. Thank you. Second thing, right? And by and then the last thing I want to say is where you can find me next. That's what I want to say. Connection to the PS4 has been lost. I know it has been. Like, I know that because I disconnected myself. All right. And then the last thing I want to say is where you can find me next. And don't worry, Rissa. I'm going to answer your question right there. I see you, Rissa. I see you, and you're amazing. So you can find me tonight at 8 p.m. over at Praxagora, the Smophoria's channel, who is amazing. And she is running a 10-shot of a game called The Regiment, which she wrote herself because she's a game designer and super cool. And it is a hack and also a classicist, not a classist, and a historian and an anthropologist, and amazing. And she is merging the Swordfall Chronicles, which is the system that the Game of Thrones RPG is based off of, and Good Society, mashing it up together. And she's creating this game where we're going to be doing a Napoleonic Peninsular War campaign. And we're going to be members of the regiment and think about like Horatio Hornblower and Sharp and all of that goodness. So we're doing that. And that's tonight at 8 p.m. And I need to do some, I'm going to check out some, I've got some things that are hanging out right over there that I need to check out if they're going to work for the show tonight. And if they are, there'll be a surprise. If they don't work, then there won't be a surprise. But if there are, there will be a surprise. Either way, there'll be cosplay. So that's Saturday. That's tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, I'm playing with Rissa offline, and I think that she's going to have our characters all go insane and Cthulhu will eat us, and that's cool. And then... just because sometimes Cthulhu eats people, that is a thing that happens. But then next week, of course, you can find me on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, where I will be playing Wandersong, and I think we're getting towards the end of that one, so we'll be done with that one pretty soon. Friday at 1 p.m. over at Laugh Love Lindy's channel, Eastern, I will be in Aether's Walkway, a sci-fi show, a sci-fi thing with using the Cypher system run by Alice White Rabbit. 7 p.m. everybody. Next Friday is going to be the next episode of City of Light and Shadow. And yeah. That's all I'm saying. And then back here on Saturday. So that's it. That is a question, but I seem to be making it work. What? Wait. What? Who? What? The two so few books in order are one in the beginning. I'm gonna thank you for that, Young and Heart. I'm gonna copy this so that I have that written down somewhere. Also, I have and currently trying to survive law school. Also, thank you, Prax, for linking that. Thank you very much. Also trying to survive law school because, yeah, I mean, like some people are overachievers and I am not going to judge, not judging at all. And there's going to be a cosplay. And that's, I have socials. I should not forget the socials. If you'd like, you can give a follow or a sub wherever that is on this the new thing, and you can catch me up here. I'm at Trooper SJP. We have the archive of all of the shows on Trooper SJP at YouTube. You can find me at Academic Foxhole on Twitter. Also, I have a Patreon, which is Academic Foxhole, and that Patreon goes to support the RPGs that I'm running on the channel, of which there's only one, because currently that's what I can afford to do. But that's what I got going on, and I want to thank you. So we are, you should clips are, I think there's so much goodness in there. But the problem with the clips, Dark Raven, is that they can't see what you said. I try to read out what everybody says so that people don't have the context, but like your stuff was very interesting. You know what I mean? Like your stuff was very interesting. So that's, all right, I'm going. Take care of yourselves. And I'm going to talk to a lawyer to figure out how I can actually do music lectures where I can actually play the music and not get in too much trouble. Like what kind of language I need to use. Because I just need to get like good legalese, and then I think I could probably do it. But then we can do it and it'll be really good. Then we can actually just play lots of Enigma. Not lots of Enigma, but you know what I mean. So I will take care of everybody. I will catch you on the flip side, and maybe I'll see you tonight for the regiment. Bye, everybody. And thanks for being here. You're all so great. Thank you. Bye.